That will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. And I would like to ask Mr. Andy Cisneros, who's here at every meeting, getting us ready and set up, to lead us in those two pledges. And I believe it's the first time he's ever been asked to lead us in those two pledges. So I want to thank him in advance for doing that. So please rise. Ms. Ramirez.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we just come before you this morning, thanking you, Lord, for your many blessings. Thanking you, Lord, for this opportunity, Lord, to stand before you, Lord. I just pray, Heavenly Father, that you will send your Holy Spirit to this meeting, Lord. I pray for guidance and direction, Lord, for these men and women that you have called up to the front, Lord, for such a time as this, Lord. You've called them, Lord, and you put responsibility upon their shoulders, Lord, to lead these your people, Lord. In the name of Jesus, I just pray that you'll take control of everything that's done in this meeting and bless everything that we do. Lord, I just proclaim and decree that this city and this county is blessed. This city and county is visited by you, Lord, and there will be prosperity and there will be abundance for your people, Lord, and the love of God will flow like a river through the streets of this city. I just thank you, Lord, because you're going to visit Cameron County and all the cities therein. In Jesus' name, amen.
Andy?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Public comment, Ms. Ramirez, public comment?
Well, good morning, Judge and Commissioners and all the people that's here. Thank you very much for hearing us this morning. The National Day of Prayer is celebrated in Washington, D.C., Austin, in San Antonio, many, many cities in this nation. And it was established way back by Washington. And I know all the churches and everybody prays daily, but it's a day when we all can gather together, all denominations, all churches in this city, to gather together, stop what we're doing, and acknowledge Jesus Christ as the Lord of this city. So he'll visit us and he'll bless our city in a big way. We're just expecting big things. It's the first day that we're going to be making a big celebration. I have here Minerva. She's a part of the group that's helping us put this together, the task force. Everybody's invited, and it's in front of the federal courthouse. And the National Day of Prayer is Thursday, May the 2nd. Every year is the same day, Thursday, May the 2nd, the first Thursday in May. And we're going to have a celebration there with many, many churches. And we're going to have from 6:30 on, so everybody's invited. But we will begin with a breakfast in the morning where the Bible says, give honor where honor is due. We want to honor all the veterans that are in the city. We're going to be praying for them and give them a breakfast. So if any of you would like to join us, you're not a veteran, but you want to sponsor a veteran maybe, the breakfast is $10 a ticket. So we're expecting a big blessing that day.
And this will be at the VFW.
Correct.
And then at Linear Park.
Ms. Peña?
And yes, we're going to be at Linear Park also at 6:30. Y quisiera
In the morning or in the PM?
6:30 p.m.
Okay.
For all the churches and denominations to come together. In the morning at VFW at 9:30, and at 6:30 in the evening, invite the whole community, every church, any people from all walks of life, from all faiths, to come together and unite for peace, prosperity, for the city of Brownsville and all its surrounding areas. So queremos invitar a todo mundo de toda fe que venga y se junte y nos únenos para que esta ciudad salga adelante con toda su gente y todos los pueblos alrededor de nosotros.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Who's the gentleman behind you?
Pastor Bob. Thank you. Pastor Bob.
Pastor, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for letting us address us this morning on the National Day of Prayer. The Veterans Breakfast, we want to honor our veterans. We're going to have this breakfast to honor them. We have an event scheduled for an hour and a half at the breakfast with a speaker, Colonel Leif Wilson, retired United States Air Force, that's going to speak to the veterans. But the real reason for the breakfast is to honor our veterans for what they've done for our country. I myself am a veteran, and I see what the veterans down here in Brownsville, the military people down here in Brownsville, and I am very honored to be able to be part of the National Day of Prayer and to honor these veterans for what their service to their country is. So we are sponsoring. If you'd like to sponsor a veteran or veterans, you can talk to Esther or myself, or there's information on the flyers. We're looking for a large turnout. We're looking for over 100 so far that we have, and we'd like to see as many veterans from the Valley as we possibly can get there. So we appreciate what you're doing and our opportunity to speak to you this morning. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Just a quick question. Is Brownsville, well, what other locations within the Valley are you having something similar, like a breakfast?
Well, they're having similar in the breakfast for the veterans is the only one at the VFW Hall.
Okay.
And that's VFW Hall 2035 down there on Price Road.
Got it. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate y'all being here. Any other public comment?
You have my form there, sir. I turn it in over here. What is it we have, sir? 5 minutes?
3 minutes, sir.
3 minutes. They spoke more than 3 minutes. My name is Fernando Ruiz.
Well, it was 3 people. Mr. Fernando Ruiz. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I have never seen a more corrupt county than Cameron County. We have our representatives in Austin yesterday or day before. They are supposed to represent the people that elected them, contradicting and not getting involved in learning the facts of certain things that have happened in the past. Do you really know what you're doing up there? Because I'm not happy with what you're doing. We have a lot of things that we're missing. We're missing the things of Mr. Cadriel with Mr. Hernandez. We're missing Judge Torres' investigation. We're missing the investigation of the human resources that left when all this came up. You know, you are very, very mistaken, and you're not in shape to understand the direction of this county. I'm going to ask all of you, you have abused of your position to resign. Abuse of official capacity, it's called. Who do you think you are? You're supposed to go to Austin representing us, not yourselves, or that alleged drunk representative we have over there that left the scene of the accident when he had the accident the other day there by the expressway. And then we have a commissioner from the city to come and challenge the police and interrupt the functions of the police and not get arrested. What kind of cartel are we running? Because I would call this Cameron County cartel. I'm having problems with a tax assessor collector. He hasn't returned my money. It's close to $20,000 that I paid in good faith to the county for my taxes. I don't eat sometimes, but I pay my taxes. And other people are rewarded. Criminals have more benefits than people that walk a straight line. Are you aware of that? That's a violation of the 14th Amendment. But I'll tell you, this is administrative law. You're not following administrative law because you have to bring the authority of the people and let the people participate in the process that you're preparing. To me, it's so corrupt. Would you all be willing to take a lie detector test? Excuse me. Are you all willing to take a lie detector? I think there's something under the table here. I'm going to allege to that. Everybody tan interesados. It's just a psychological factor. Why are you so interested in this place? They already have a place by the ocean. They have 8,000 miles of ocean. They have no business here in Cameron County. Thank you. Get them out of here.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Consent items. Thank you for that National Day of Prayer. Consent items. I've been asked to defer item H till after an action item. I've been asked to table item H, as in herring. I've been asked to table item K, item X, item Y,
Hold on, go slow. X,
Hey, those are the ones I was gonna pull out.
Y,
item X,
Y.
item Y, double D. I've been asked to change the dates on double R. Instead of April 25th, should read April 24th. On item double V, the date should be June the 5th and June the 8th versus June the 5th and June the 7th respectively.
Which item is that, Judge?
I'm sorry?
Double V.
Double V, okay.
I've been asked to table item triple X. And on quadruple D, I've been asked to adjust that date to April the 24th and the 25th versus April the 23rd and 24th respectively. Anything else any member of the court wish to take out and discuss separately?
O,
Item O, to take out and discuss?
just to brief the court.
I think we have representatives on that item here from item O, and if they'd like to come up and address that item, you're welcome to. Anything else? Do I hear a motion to approve consent items as presented with the exceptions of the items as previously noted?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa. I have a
Second.
second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. The one item to pull out is item O, consideration and adoption of a proclamation declaring the month of April 2013 as Confederate History and Heritage Month in Cameron County, Texas, put on the agenda by the Historical Commission. Yes, sir. How are you?
Pretty good, Judge. How you doing
Just
today?
saw some people dressed that I figured fit that item.
Yes,
So
yes,
appreciate you
Commissioner.
being here.
And just introduce yourselves for the record, please.
If I could permit, this is...
Up on the microphone. William.
This is the Commander Craig Stone.
Craig Stone. I'm the commander of the local Sons of Confederate Veterans Camp, the John S. Ripford Camp here in Cameron County.
Welcome, John.
I'm Ruben Cordova. I'm the first lieutenant commander of the Sons of Confederate Veterans here in the Valley.
Welcome, Ruben.
Thank you.
William.
And of course, I'm sure I'm tired, or y'all are tired to see my face, but I'm Wilson Bourgeois with the Cameron County Historical Commission, chairman of the Civil War Sesquicentennial Committee.
You want to just do a quick and dirty?
Pretty much, unfortunately, my computer crashed, so I don't have the wording in front of me, but this proclamation is set forth already by the Texas Senate back in 1999, in which April is declared the Confederate Heritage and History Month. Being that we are in the sesquicentennial at this time, I thought it would be fitting to proclaim Cameron County as well as following that proclamation by the Senate.
Other counties have done this and are doing the same thing.
I believe so. I believe we are probably the 13th or 14th county within Texas.
Okay. Commissioner, questions?
No, the only thing is, you know, I had a couple of calls on people saying, what are you doing recognizing Confederates? And I says, I believe that the resolution before us encourages the citizenry of our county to study not only the Civil War, but all wars, and to recognize the historical events that have led us to where we are today. Not in any way, shape, or form, you know, taking anything away from who we are today by adopting this resolution.
Exactly, Commissioner. And as the proclamation states, it is our heritage. Cameron County was very active for both the Confederacy and the Union. Several of our local commissioners, of our local citizens, and if I may point out, Commissioner Benavidez' family played a vital role to the Confederacy and to the state of Texas. If anybody feels that that's not important, I would like to challenge that one.
And I just wanted you all to publicly state that so that, you know, folks understand that, you know, we're just trying to make sure that we recognize the history.
Oh, definitely, especially with Cameron County. Cameron County played such a vital role with again, not with the two governments involved, but also just as an official, predominantly Hispanic area. Our race was vital in that, and that truly showed America that the Tejano and the Hispanic communities really rallied to the causes of the United States and the Confederate States of America.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Move
you.
to approve, Judge.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second? By Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you all. I think that was the only item to take out, so. Regular agenda, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules.
Judge and Commissioners, there were a few line item transfers that were placed before you. They're within the regular departmental budgets just for operations. There was one salary schedule for the DA's office, reallocating funds in between slots. It's a net zero to the budget for your consideration.
That's it? Just these two?
Yes, that's it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Carries. Claims.
Claims. The lists were placed before you. There's an ACH payment in the amount of $82,053.88 to the Texas Association of Counties for the Health and Employee Benefits Pool. The check registers, there was checks from 299420 through 299917. There was one void check, number 299401, in the amount of $592,531.94. The PO was initially incorrect, so they had to void it, and they're going to reissue that payment, because it was actually two separate vendors, not one. Then there was checks number 2999922 to 3000044. There was one void check, 294510, in the amount of $9.96. That one is a stale dated check, past 90 days. It will be reissued at a later date. And then there was, well, those are all the check registers. If you have any
Questions? Do I hear a motion to approve claims as presented?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Please note my abstention on the affidavits I've provided. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Minutes, February the 28th, March 5th, the regular and special. Are those ready?
I have not had a chance to.
Do I hear a motion to table minutes?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides to table. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Carries. Item D, consideration and approval of interlocal agreement between Cameron County and the City of Los Fresnos.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. This agenda item is for an interlocal for a parking lot in Los Fresnos. It's an agreement between the county. The county will provide the equipment and labor, and the City of Los Fresnos will provide the funding for the project. We recommend approval.
Any questions?
This includes also labor and equipment in the price, not only the materials.
Do I hear a motion to approve? By Commissioner
Judge.
Gatsa, second by
Judge.
Commissioner.
Judge,
Somebody.
excuse me, Judge, can you also have a motion to approve the actual construction project? That's part of the packet, because that needs to be approved in a separate document, which is attached here too.
Okay, is that part of your motion, Commissioner?
Yes.
Is that part of your second? Commissioner Sanchez? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item
And this
carries.
is, just for the record, it is right next to the new park on Highway 100 that they built. They don't have much parking space there next to the Whipple Library, so they're going to build it right adjacent to the park.
Is this the related item H?
No, sir.
No, is that another one? The one that we,
No, this.
all right. Which item is that one?
Which,
Because we bypassed a consent.
yes, H is the item that we were going to discuss in action
Yep.
related to the consent. Item H.
Okay. H and H, okay. Item E, consideration and approval of interlocal agreement. No, we already did. No, that's
Yeah,
it.
this is the Brownsville
On
BISD
BISD.
one. Item E.
Item
Judge,
E.
Commissioners, this is the item that Pete has been working on along with, I think Commissioner Hernandez has been.
This on the
involved.
building
This is on the
exchange?
building There's an agreement in place to do some work at certain campuses, Rivera High School and Breeden School. And the amount of the work is pretty much equal to the amount of the buildings that we are going to be swapping in this case.
Well, I want to thank the school district for agreeing to this, and Commissioner Hernandez and some of his staff for working this out. The buildings are the ones that are right across the street from the Dancy Building on Madison. And it's 3 buildings that used to be the original BISD administrative offices decades ago. It's, yeah, wherever it is. Yeah, over here. And it's 3 buildings. It's the one on the corner, used to be the old tax office, then the middle building, and then there's another building on the left. So it's 3 buildings. We're not sure of the condition of the middle building. When I've toured it a couple of years ago, it's beyond repair unless you spend a whole lot of money to repair it. I think we have some issues with it. But those are the 3 buildings, for those of y'all that are interested, that we're talking about swapping with the school district. They give us the buildings, and we're going to provide some labor and equipment and materials to pave some of the projects that they need. It ultimately saves them money, and it gives us some space that we need. If you've been over to the other courthouse, we're in need of some office space, and we don't know exactly who we're going to move over there, but there has been some discussions of possibly the Veterans Office, maybe the Elections Office. If we have room, maybe a JP, but we're not there yet. But that's just the buildings that we're talking about, and again, thank you.
Yeah, and I believe BISD approved this item at their meeting this week, so.
Yeah, I think at 10 p.m.?
Yeah, about 10:30.
Yeah, 10 p.m. So again, thank you to the BISD board for and staff for facilitating that for us.
There was also 2 portable buildings that were we call that, in Spanish, we call it the pilon. They gave us 2 portable buildings, which we're going to set up by Los Tomates Bridge, Veterans Bridge, and that'll be the temporary housing for the new JP 2.3. And we can pick those up as soon as we conclude the passing this agreement, and take possession of the buildings as soon as possible. That'll have to be worked out. I talked to Leandra about us getting the keys, and she had no problem with it. The board agreed. Maybe come up with some type of agreement with them that in the interim that we'll be responsible. The electricity needs to be changed, and of course, whatever insurance we put on those buildings, because they want to cut their part off as quickly as possible.
Okay, also, there was a slight change. We added 2 words, just so you know, from the backup, there were 2 words added to it.
What were the words?
It's by warranty deed under section 2, when they convey it.
Okay.
All right, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Hernandez, do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Gatsa, discussion.
Yes, question.
Proceeds to fund this project are coming from where?
That's the question. I know Mark.
Because we can't use road and bridge funds to buy buildings, so are these coming from bond proceeds?
Bond proceeds.
The bond proceeds, and we're not really buying, well, I guess we are acquiring the buildings in exchange for labor and material on the roads, on some roads by some of the schools. My understanding is that there's bond proceeds available, and that was part of the discussion we had
last week.
a couple of weeks ago about money we're going to have left over to do some projects, and
Well, I just want to make sure, because we cannot use road and
That's
bridge
correct.
funds
That's
to
correct.
fund this project.
we can use road and bridge monies to work on roads, but we cannot use it for the construction of parking lots.
No, for
As I understand it.
For exchange of property.
Of property. Because that's not, the property is not road and bridge.
Right.
Now, I would imagine if these buildings were going to be used by the road and bridge department.
We'll put somebody in there.
But
We can put one person in there, that's road and
I
bridge.
don't think there's that much money in that fund to do this with,
Well,
though. That's my concern, Javier.
And can we approve it without identifying a funding source, or subject to?
I think we can do.
Commence any of those projects for the school district until that funding is identified.
We know that.
Because how are you going to pay for it?
Okay.
Yeah, I think Pete was working with bond counsel to find out how we can
Right.
structure that.
Okay, well, as long as the caveat there is subject to
Subject to legal
Funding.
approval, bond council and ours.
I will amend my motion to
And I'll
include that.
second
Okay.
that amendment.
Didn't Pete mention something that there was some bond money left from the 2008 years, right?
Yes.
I think that's where they were.
Yeah, I think the issue is just making sure that bond counsel is agreeing with.
And how we do it?
Yeah, changing that money.
All right, at a motion, a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Item F, consideration and authorization to hold a public hearing setting forth provisions of the proposed amendment to the current subdivision rules and regulations for the proposed construction of concrete sidewalks on any proposed subdivision road or street, or on any existing county road or street easements and right-of-way that lies between or within the Cameron County jurisdiction. Do I hear a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
By
Second.
Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in a public hearing. Ernesto,
Judge,
good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. We posted a public hearing notice on April the 14th for the proposed installation of concrete sidewalks on county subdivision roads, easements, and right-of-ways. Having said that, we'll open up for public comments, if any, and we'll go from there. And so it's open to any developer or contractor. If you have any comments this morning in regards to the installation of concrete sidewalks, you're welcome to come up front and
I just
make
want
a
to make
statement.
one comment. I've had 2 calls from people that could not be here this morning because of previous reasons. And I told them that I would do what I could to listen to whoever would be here, take into consideration any of the commentary, and possibly, table the item until we have an opportunity to make sure that they could attend, or could give input on a personal basis in regards to some of the concerns that they brought. So, I hope that.
Sure. Ernesto, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Have you done any type of rates, figured out what it would cost to build a sidewalk on a normal lot? Would it be required, or not so much required, but would a concrete sidewalk work with an asphalt driveway or a caliche driveway? Because a lot of these lots that are being sold are in the 20,000 price range. They're not real expensive lots. And my concern is that we don't get washouts and dips right there at the entrance to the lots, and what it adds to the amortized cost of the construction.
Sure.
Over 15, 30, 20, 30 years, whatever it is. I'm not sure how these houses are financed, but a lot of them are done, through the developers, and there's gonna be added cost if that's built, if the builder does it and puts it in, he's not gonna sell it to the customer for that same price. There's gonna be a 25% markup at least, maybe 30%. I have no idea what it would be. Have you looked at all that?
Yes, sir. Alex and I kind of made an estimated cost. It's going to be incurred on the actual subdivision, because you have sidewalks on both sides of the roadway, or on the easement or right-of-way. And we came to an approximate cost of anywhere from $14 to $16 a linear foot. That means if you have a 100-foot lot fronting the road, it's going to be $1,400 to $1,600 cost per that lot. And it depends on the number of lots, how much distance you're going to go around, but basically $14 to $16 a linear foot.
Okay.
And depending on the cost of concrete nowadays, it's going up, and so it just depends on the market. But basically around $14 to $16 a linear foot. As far as the quality of the installation, for instance, if you have asphalt drives, the criteria required here is that as you make that crossing through that driveway, or before you even do that driveway, you have compaction considerations which will stabilize on both sides of the approach and the end side of that driveway, which you'll have concrete and asphalt, two differential materials, but if you provide the right compaction, it should be all right. It should not be a problem. And again, that's just a matter of maintaining that system. But the settlement is always that potential there. But the basic abutting services will be adequate.
I guess my question is, who's responsible? The seller of the lot or the builder of the house?
No, in this
many
case
times
here,
it's two different people.
No, in this case, the concrete sidewalks will be incurred by the developer up front. He'll install them. They'll pursue the same warranty that we have for roads and utilities under the construction agreement. And
And basically, it'll be the responsibility of the developer or owner, I'm saying developer, to operate and maintain that sidewalk or even that road system for 1 year. And then once we accept the county road into the county road system, that sidewalk will be part of that approval, or we need to tie it to the improvements of the subdivision.
But what if nobody builds a lot that first year, they build a house that first year, they may not build to the third, fourth, fifth year?
The sidewalk will be there because we're only going to install it about a foot inside the right-of-way. As the subdivision develops, the approach to it, they will transition into that sidewalk.
So you're gonna put sidewalks on empty lots?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've
it's
never
all all the way
I've never
across.
seen that done anywhere in
That's one of
town.
the concerns that was brought to my attention.
I've
was
never seen that done anywhere.
Sometimes you don't know where a driveway will be located.
Exactly.
And that creates,
See, but the sidewalk is going to be set on a certain elevation, right? Based on the surface of, or the frontage of the lot. And so that sidewalk may be only a couple of inches or so below the grade line of the lot. So you already have a set elevation you're going to put it at. As you build the as the homeowner brings a home in and you're going to do an approach or a driveway, well, you're going to transition into that abutment of the sidewalk
Now,
on both sides.
Let me ask you this, okay, based on what you just said, if I buy a lot, the sidewalk's put in.
Right.
I come back, look, I'm gonna build a house.
Right.
Are they gonna have to break sidewalk out to put a driveway?
No, you don't need to. You're going to transition into that sidewalk already there. It's an improvement that's already there.
But your driveway, don't you have to
But you have
build it to
break
a
curb,
certain
you
depth?
gotta break curb and,
No. I guess maybe I'm not communicating it right. The sidewalk is going to be built from the lot line and from the property line out 1 foot, and it's going to be a 4-foot sidewalk, right? So you still have the shoulder of the road, the borrow ditch, and then onto the shoulder of the lot. Well, that sidewalk is already there at the upper side of that shoulder. So you put in your driveway pipe, and then you backfill it, and then you install your approaches with your radiuses onto that sidewalk. And then all you have on the other side is that 1 foot differential only, or difference in there, of natural ground. You know, that needs to be filled in and also filled in with concrete. No?
What happens, I mean, how sturdy are these sidewalks? What happens when the cement truck has to come in to pour the foundation? Is it gonna crack the sidewalk?
No, because you're going to back up into the drive.
No. When you go build the house, how do you get the cement 200 feet past the sidewalk where you're building your house, or 100 feet or 30 feet?
Well, but the sidewalk's already installed. It's already cured. It's got more than 28 days.
So it won't crack?
Well, we're designing it we're calling it for 2,800 PSI, which is a pretty standard concrete strength for sidewalks. It'll be reinforced with wire mesh. So, and then every 20 feet, there will also be dowels or doweled in with reinforcement, so that there's no differential settlement between the sidewalks. They'll have a 4-inch cushion, sand cushion on the bottom. So, you know, any differentials, because we do have a lot of clay soils in the county, that will allow for some movement. But the sidewalk won't move because it'll have reinforcement.
And so when you
Where
build,
cracks or not, it might, just like any other concrete pour that you do.
but then are we gonna have to go in there as a county and fix it?
Only after we accept it. Once we accept the maintenance of it, it's ours.
So it's like he said, let's say they don't build right away,
Right.
and it takes more than a year to build on the lot. We've already accepted the sidewalk and the road in there.
Yes.
And then someone buys a lot, and they come in to build, and they drive over that sidewalk to get the cement in, and it cracks it. We're gonna have to go in and
That's
fix the
correct. So the
sidewalk.
maintenance will be assumed by the county.
And how much maintenance have you projected and cost on these sidewalks it's gonna cost us?
Other than the repair cost of wherever that damage may be, but the maintenance I'm saying is that you have to make sure that that as you build that driveway transition in there, that there's no differential on the soils. If you have to add a little bit more material before you install the driveway, well, then you need to do that.
Do we have
will do that.
authority to control that, though, as a county, on what someone's building on their private property?
No, it's not going to be, the sidewalk is going to be, well, we're only going to put the driveway out to the property line. We don't go into private property. I mean, whoever the owner of the lot is, he will have to contract, I guess, with the builder. The builder would, you're right, will go in and out of the county property onto private property. That drive is up to the property line is ours. Beyond that,
So are we going to have to get more right-of-way to do that?
No.
It'll fit within the existing right-of-way?
Yes, sir.
And what
Our
are,
limits is up to the property line.
what
Beyond that
are,
is,
what are the long-term costs to the county for maintenance of all those sidewalks?
maintenance.
Because we're going to have to maintain those sidewalks for perpetuity, right?
Right, but it's pretty much maintenance-free because you do have to go out and inspect it like quarterly or hourly. In other words, it's going to be a maintenance in the sense that periodically you're going to have to go look at those sidewalks, see if they're breaking up or not, just like you do the roads.
Right.
We don't have a maintenance program, I'll be honest with you.
But when they're broken, it's going to cost us money to fix them.
Sure.
How much have you projected in costs?
The same thing, the cost to install a portion of the sidewalk, which would be anywhere from $14 to $16 a linear foot.
But Ernesto,
20
you
feet
don't
of
have
road.
anything projected right now
No, sir, because we don't
no,
know.
hold on. For sidewalks, but you don't have anything projected for road maintenance either. Just go out and fix it whenever you need it. So
Correct.
that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to quantify. But let me say this: I think it's a good idea to do the sidewalks. However, it's not a good idea. Well, let me go back. Where did all this originate from? Because I asked the question at the last meeting about, is there some way we can do it different so it's not concrete? Maybe we can do something like almost not so much like a walking trail, but not concrete, something different.
Composite or something?
Well, maybe an asphalt sidewalk or something cheaper. But and I think we just came up with that discussion. I didn't remember hearing an answer.
Yeah.
But secondly, I mean, I think one of the questions I asked is, have y'all contacted the builders and developers and tried to get their input? Because this is, you're only two ways to do it. Either the county pays for it, or the developer pays for it, or the owner pays for it, and none of it is good. And the developer, whatever they pay, they're going to pass it on,
Correct.
To the ultimate buyer, and that's going to discourage people buying a lot if they got to spend another $15,000 because they want a sidewalk. There's places in our cities, Brownsville especially, some of the most affluent neighborhoods don't have sidewalks. And it's something that, everybody would like to have, but I mean, I think it's going to make it very unaffordable. The developer can go out and do it. I don't think that's the big issue. The issue is going to be, once they do it, are they going to be able to recoup their cost and their investment by selling a lot out in the rural area? But where did this come from? Because
Judge, I'll tell you where it came from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real easy where it came from. When we were doing the preliminary approval for the plat that Mr. Campbell, his son, was presenting that day.
That's correct.
We looked at it, and we had lots that had 35-foot frontages. We had lots in which we know that a school bus cannot drive into to pick up kids, that they will be made to wait by the highway out where they get picked up. We knew that the U.S. Postal Service cannot put a post office box in front of every house and will require cluster boxes on the road for people to get mail. There was 140 lots. I remember you were here that day. 130 lots. Come on up, I mean, I think
Sure.
it needs to be a good discussion that we have
Sure.
because,
Yeah.
and I expressed a concern about kids having to go from the cul-de-sacs way in the back and walk on the highway that, had a 35-foot frontage for a home in which they can't park a car in front of, but yet they've got to have their kids walk into the school bus or walk in to get the mail. And, that started that conversation, if I recall.
So then,
Right.
okay, just so I understand then, that one subdivision, that had these concerns, kind of
Well,
broad brushed every single future development with sidewalks.
I don't know about how it brushed it, but I'm saying.
Well, we're here in a public hearing
in-
for it.
Well, in the Los Fresnos area, in that particular area that the preliminary plan was approved for, which I had some concerns with flooding, and that's another issue, you know. But in that particular subdivision, we have utilities available at the location. They have sewer service that are available. They don't need large lots for septic systems. So in essence, we're having lots built that are considerably smaller than what normally has been built out in the county. As an example, Bent Tree subdivision, and I know that the Cardenas are here and they did that subdivision. They're larger subdivisions because they require a septic system be installed, and there's more space, there's more frontage, there's 100-foot frontage on those lots, you know, there's more space for kids and people to walk through. And in this particular subdivision, the compactness of the subdivision, to me, led me to believe that potentially we could have some potential safety issues of people and kids traveling to the front to either get the mail or go to school. And, you know, that's what brought this to the forefront. And you said you had a solution for us.
May I address the question? My
Yes,
name is
sir.
Kevin Campbell. I'm with La Cuesta Soul Development. And let me address the subdivision, Laudelas Country Estates, that you're referring to. Those lots were adjusted so it met the minimum county standards of 50 foot on each lot. The areas where they were narrow were only on the curves and the cul-de-sacs. And the lot sizes in there are not high density. Those lots range from 80 feet wide to 90 feet wide. So there was 30 acres in total land being developed in that portion, and there was 66 lots. So that's roughly a half acre gross per lot. So the actual finished lot was 15,000 square feet. In the county, you can do a 6,000 square feet. So that particular development was not high density at all. They're 80 plus feet of width to each lot. But if I may address your concerns about the sidewalk issue, when I first heard about this, my thought was to do a cost analysis just like Ernesto did. And so the way I approached that was I went to my most recent subdivision that I just completed, and I asked my engineer to calculate the linear feet, and I got a bid on building a sidewalk that was to spec according to the county standards. So in that subdivision, there was 52 lots. It was on Kretz Road. The cost came out to $1,720 per lot. So my concern here is the affordability of this to my customer. I have to charge $2,500 to that customer. These are hardworking families. They're making $10 an hour. And I did a spreadsheet here that, if I may, I could bring these up to you.
Please.
Sure. And that's if they pay it all up front, right?
That's just the cost. Yeah, that's not amortized.
Thank you, sir. Well, let me go back to my original question. Ernesto? Yes. I understand the concern with that specific subdivision, how this evolved, but how did it get from looking at that specific subdivision to this point where we're having a public hearing about changing all subdivisions and requiring sidewalks in all future development? How do we get from just that one that had some concerns to this one now that we're looking at all potential future growth? How do we get to that point?
It was my understanding when we had that discussion about that subdivision, that it was the consensus of the court, and I apologize if I misunderstood.
No, and I don't know if it was or not, but
the consensus was that we needed to check into or pursuing the idea of installation of sidewalks on proposed subdivisions or any subdivision, proposed subdivision that has a county road frontage on it. I proceeded under that understanding to develop some criteria to for the installation of concrete sidewalks on subdivisions. I granted it came quickly, and I wanted to do it quickly if that's what the court wanted to do.
I think we also discussed lighting.
And we
I know
discussed
that,
lighting
Kevin, we had a
issues
discussion on that, you know.
and that sort of thing. And I think I mentioned that on a couple of occasions, that would come after this
Right.
proposed improvement.
Right.
So having said that, I brought it back quickly to the court for consideration. We did post a public hearing. We did send out a notice to the developers. I apologize again if some didn't get it, but the current subdivision developers are in the county. It was sent to them.
We're
And
not
so,
You know, I think we are where we want to be. We want to be here and listening to these folks.
so I bring in,
Yeah, well, I
develop
can't-
some criteria.
Yeah, I just can't think of any
Develop some criteria,
developer.
and that's what it is.
Yeah, I can't think of any developer that's going to be here and say, hey, rah, 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 let's do it. So if they're here, it's because they've got a concern, and it's a legitimate
And I
concern, it's that of cost.
Well, I think that, you know, when we had Kevin here with that other project, you were here in trying to propose some ideas that we could work together on to make safety a bigger issue, to increase the potential for doing lighting in there. I mean, that's what I got from you. You know, you said, we're gonna do more of what we're proposing today, and we wanna make sure that we do something that, you know, will provide safety for the residents that are gonna live there.
Now, we do have concrete sidewalks on existing county roads. We've installed already.
Yeah, but who's paid?
We did.
Exactly.
We paid for that up front,
Why?
either because there was a safety issue or children getting out of buses wanting to walk on a safe
Now, there
surface.
was, what was a subdivision
that.
that we did where we did assessments? I don't remember where, I think it was Los Fresnos back when,
That was for the road.
Yeah, that was for the road, right? Yeah, I think.
That was not for sidewalks.
No, I know,
On
but,
Aquitas
right, but,
subdivision, and they're still paying for it today.
right, but the owners paid for that. Why couldn't we look at something like that? Assess it to the, once they buy it, assess it to the property. If they want a sidewalk,
Well, the owners are going to pay for it. They're going to install it, they're going to pass on the cost, and the owners are
well,
gonna
yeah,
pay
I mean, if we proceed and we
that's
require
something
it.
we need to consider.
Yeah, they're gonna pay
What are we
for
gonna
it.
saddle an owner with in terms of, they'll put it in, we can require them to put it in, but, you know, what Kevin handed out here, and when you look at this, you know, is an owner really gonna wanna pay, you know, $6,000 for a sidewalk that if and when he builds, or she builds, they're gonna have to tear it up to put in their driveway because, you know, whoever the builder is may say, well, if I have to build around that sidewalk, I'm not going to warranty the sidewalk, the driveway. And so then what is the owner going to say? Would I rather have a warranty on my $8,000, $10,000 driveway, or have to pay an extra $1,500 or $2,000 to redo the sidewalk? Either way, it ends up costing the homeowner.
Commissioner,
I don't think there's going to,
excuse me. I have been contacted by the homeowners that live along Maverick Road. You know, I mean, that area was developed a long time ago. But then they look to us. I was fixing Maverick Road, and then, you know, we went back and redid the borrow ditches. And so then the road is so narrow that the kids were walking alongside the buses and
On the road?
Yeah, on the road. And so there is a safety issue. That's why I was interested in finding out what alternatives we had. You know, we had the same thing on Vermillion Road. We had to have a MOU with a BISD, the city of Brownsville and the county, to be able to do some sidewalks there, build some. And this is something that we're seeing more and more. You know, schools are built out in county roads. And then we, the county, are saddled with having to face this public safety issue. So I think that's where we all started out with this.
and just to follow up from the commissioner's point of view there, in that particular road, it is a 40-foot right-of-way. It's a little narrower than most standard subdivision roads or right-of-ways, which are the standard for the county is 60 foot of right-of-way. So you have ample area. But still the same issue of walking surface is there. If there's no schools or anything like that, well, then that, then you become where's it justifiable or not.
I think
But
one
as
of the-
far as the improvement, it's a good improvement.
Ernesto, I think one of the reasons today, the new streets and the new subdivisions are much wider than the old ones for safety purposes. And I have a lot of the same issues in my precinct where we have some very, very narrow, you can barely get 2 cars down them. And so they are dangerous for children to walk to school, but those were built before there were standards, before the standards were raised. And I think, my only concern about this issue is the prohibitive cost to the ultimate buyer. And it's gonna be a bunch of money over, because, nobody has, and I don't know how to put this delicately, but if you're in that income level, it's hard to say, okay, well, I'm gonna finance, I gotta build my house, and here's $2,500 or $1,500 to go build a sidewalk after it's done. You can barely, furniture, there's so many issues that go with a house. The sidewalk's the last thing you're gonna think about, so you're gonna say, hey, go ahead and build it, let the developer put it in, and I will figure out a way to pay it over the next 15 years. You kind of strap them, you put a bigger burden on them as far as what their ultimate cost will be for that home.
And I understand that, Commissioner. The court asked us to present something to you, that's what
Yeah.
we're done, and it's your decision as to if you want to implement or not. Like I said, we're open to some more comments, and so basically that's where we're at.
What is the standard now for the width of streets in subdivisions?
It's a 24-foot paved road, and then with shoulders, of course, Caliche Basin, and then borrow ditch, and then shoulder.
And what do these
60 foot right
subdivisions
of way.
have? Mr. Campbell, Mr. Cardenas, what's the width of your streets and your subdivisions?
They meet the requirements of the county, which is that, and there's 60 feet of right-of-way. You have 24 foot of road with shoulder that go down to the borrow ditch. So there's ultimately 60 feet of right-of-way.
Okay.
Mr. Cardenas?
Good morning, Court. Listen, we tried this in one of my subdivisions, trying to put the sidewalks in the beginning. It didn't work. Because, as you said, Commissioner Sanchez, when it's time to build the house, that sidewalk's coming straight out. So now what you have is a homeowner who we pass the cost on to that sidewalk, and about 50% of that sidewalk gets ripped out, and he has to continue to pay for the whole thing for 12, 15 years. And that's not right. And let me say something else. $1,700 is a lot to these people. I mean, they budget their money down to tanks of gas per month, and it's not right and it's not fair, and I think there's better ways to do this and implement it. Some other safety measures, lighting. Someone said the postal cluster boxes. Let me tell you, they try to make me put cluster boxes in I say, I won't do it. I will not do it, and the Postmaster General called me week in, week out, and I said, I'm not doing it. Because you know what? I know what these people do. They'll send their kids down the street to get the mail every night, okay? When they get home from school or dark, and risk getting, at the very least, bitten by a dog, and at the very worst, hit by a car or something. So I didn't do it. And that's a concern right there.
Yes, it is. And guess what? And I told the postmaster, I said, why does my sister get her mail at her house to her front door, and these people can't?
But Lakeway has cluster boxes.
Oh, listen, one of our subdivisions has it because they gave in. I'm not doing that.
Well, let me say this, that
They're not giving us a choice.
No, I didn't give in, and they're delivering to the door.
I think eventually, just like the model subdivision rules and all these came about that a lot of people were against, they were established by the legislature. And I think this is going to happen at some point. Somebody is going to present a bill and it's going to pass, especially if they isolate it to border communities like they did with some of the Colonia projects. But that's not now, and it's probably a few years away. But I think I see that.
It could be now because Ryan Guillen has a bill introduced that will
lower
all the.
Yeah, but that's not going to go anywhere. I mean, he's proposed it before, and it's not going to happen. But I think it's
there every session.
Yeah, it's there every session, but I don't believe that's going to happen. I mean, here we're trying to improve people's housing, and you guys are do good work. You don't want building codes lowered and construction lowered just to save a couple of dollars. But I mean, I understand. My concern has always been it's a great idea, but it becomes cost prohibitive. I mean, no one's going to buy your lot. you know, if you add that, and I think you're absolutely right.
Well,
It's-
and part of the thing, when people buy a lot out in the country or in county versus city, it's because they don't want to pay the premium for a city lot.
Right.
The city lot will come with sidewalk, with curb and gutter and everything else, but it comes at a premium cost. So, you know, you end up moving someone out to the county that's not city, and you're going to impose all these things, all of a sudden they're paying the same thing that they'd be paying in town.
Yeah, your parents' neighborhood, a lot of those nice streets don't have sidewalks. I mean, they don't. Some do, but because the owner chose to pay for a sidewalk and for another home. But a lot of the streets in that neighborhood do not have sidewalks.
Cities are all requiring sidewalks.
Yeah, but this is an old subdivision.
Right.
Yeah, Commissioner Garza, but they're also done, like, if you'll go by Hacienda West, the one I'm doing now, the city will not, Military Highway and the city of Brownsville will not give him a building permit unless the sidewalks.
But the owner's got to pay for it.
Yes,
correct?
that's the problem.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
you know, that's the
All right.
problem.
Well, I
So
think
the
we.
owner's got to pay for everything at the end. Otherwise, these folks wouldn't be in business, okay? I mean, it didn't matter if now we have septic systems, which we require a letter of credit for. I mean, if we want to get to the logistics of the process, it's an easy thing to do. You know, I mean, if you sell a lot, you're going to have a letter of credit for building that particular sidewalk whenever you build it, just like you do a septic system. So the logistics of funding it is not the problem. The logistics of building it and when you build it is what I see more of a issue in.
Well, no, Commissioner, I tend to disagree. I think
the bottom line is
financial-
who pays.
That's, and you know, these people.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, but you
Who
know,
pays?
what responsibility do I have as a commissioner do I have to the people that buy your lots that want lighting and want sidewalks as soon as they move in? And they want the county to pay for it, and they want every taxpayer in this county to cover the bill. Is that what we need to do? I mean, at the end of the day, that's where we're at. You know, I mean, we can't build a road, Old Dallas Road, because, you know, it's a new road, and the city of Brownsville wants sidewalks on the road when there's no one on that road. We can't, I mean, we're not gonna build it because we can't fund it with that particular amenity on the road, you know. But we have the choice there of doing it or not doing it. In this case, we're not doing it because we can't fund it. That's the way it goes. But when you buy a lot, you know, some folks, it's like they know they don't have lighting, but they want lighting. They know they don't have sidewalks, but they want sidewalks. How can we meet in the middle ground to accommodate some of these safety issues that, you know, I need to be comfortable with in providing?
Well, let me say this. I am for lighting. As a matter of fact, I was going to say, you know, it is time that we put some lighting in, because I've seen subdivisions, I've driven them through them at night, and they are dangerous. And with lighting, the whole subdivision equally gets lit, correct? So the safety, the measure of safety is equally distributed amongst the whole neighborhood. Whereas with sidewalks, there's no guarantee that these kids will even use the sidewalks. I mean, some will, some won't, you know. And I am for lighting. I'm also for speed bumps or dips in the streets. I mean, there's so much we can do, but, you know, just to come out here and flat and say, hey, we need sidewalks. I mean, you know what else? We need catwalks. You know, where does it stop? If it was up to me, we'd have catwalks on every corner. But that's just not feasible.
How difficult would it be to maybe make it a restriction on the subdivision for the property owner that you draw in the sidewalk in the plans, and then it's up to the property owner once all the lots are sold, that the requirement will be on them to jointly pay for the installation of a sidewalk?
Well, Commissioner Sanchez, what you're alluding to is more or less a homeowners association, because that's what, and you know, that vehicle, to be honest with you, they don't always work. They kind of fail. You know, they start off pretty good, but then they fail, and ultimately it's the government that has to step in and take.
How do we force then people to pay the light bill on the lighting?
Well,
because the lighting is going to be the same thing. You have to have the homeowners pay for the electric bill to run the lights.
I don't think there's a developer here, and of course, and we haven't had time to get together ourselves, all right? But as I can only speak for myself, I wouldn't have any problem putting in lighting. okay?
No, but I'm talking about the bill to pay for the electricity for the lighting.
well, that-
And the reason I bring that up is I have a subdivision in my precinct where through a grant, lighting was put in after the fact. And the cost had to be divided among the lot owners, the subdivision owners of the property. And the issue came up with individual owners that, hey, well, the lamp pole isn't in front of my yard, so I'm not going to pay. And so all of a sudden, there's a bill there that the county has to deal with, and there's no way for us to enforce, hey, lot owners, you're going to have to pay it. So we can put up lighting in your subdivision, but what happens when you sell all your lots and then the owners decide, well, I don't want to pay my pro rata share of the lighting? How do we enforce that?
No, Commissioner Sanchez, I can only tell you this, that normally we pay for the actual lights, and the government or whoever the entity is, the public pays for the electricity every month. It's part of the safety. I mean, it's public safety, you know what I'm saying? Like like Brownsville, we put in the lights, and the city pays for the electricity.
Well, in the county, we don't have a PUB.
I understand that.
Let me tell you what we've done in Precinct 2, Commissioner. We've worked with the tax assessor collector and had him work a plan where he actually assesses, when the utility bill comes in, and they actually add that to their tax bill at the end of the year. That's worked in 2 or 3 areas. I don't have the specific ones in front of me, but when you figure streetlight cost over a year to a resident, it's probably $50, $60 a year when you divide it among all the lots.
Streetlight cost?
Huh?
Streetlight cost?
Streetlight cost.
Less than that.
Huh?
Well,
It's like
anyway,
$15.
Like Laguna Heights is like
$7.
$24 a year.
Yeah, it's nominal.
So I'm just giving you a number. I don't know the exact number, but it's very low. But by adding it to the person's property tax bill, and it's actually worked very well. And they have their lights, it's paid for through their taxes, and it doesn't hit them all at one time. Their lights are on every night. To actually go individually door by door to try to collect like newspaper route, it's not going to work.
Legally, I don't think we can enforce it on the collection of taxes, but, I mean, what do the lawyers have to say?
I don't know, but I know they've been doing it. It's been working before. I don't know if they even know about it.
No, they do. We get a report.
We're,
I get a report like every 6 months and I think Frank is the one that puts it together. Frank, are you back there?
Oh, we're getting a little off subject.
No, because it's lighting. And we get the report that tells us the collections.
Is that what this agenda item is
sidewalks.
on lighting?
no, sidewalks.
Sidewalks.
To light the
But
sidewalk?
it all,
Sidewalks.
but it all has to do with, you know what, Judge, it all has to do with safety. And you know what? This week it's sidewalks, next meeting will probably be lighting. So we might as well address it all together, you know what I'm saying?
We can't.
No, I know, but I'm saying, unless y'all are ready to vote, I mean.
Well, I think we're.
But at a public meeting, can't the public talk about whatever they want?
Yeah, but we're engaging with them now too, though. I mean, in terms of talking about issues that are not on the agenda.
Right, okay, yeah.
No, we can bring it back together. Commissioner Garza was going to recommend that we, well, I think the following item, we'll hear more public comment, but I think we all know where it's going to go.
Okay.
The next item will probably be tabled, and then recommend that we maybe get together with the developers and develop a plan, not an immediate one, but to start working on a plan on how the developers can participate in making some of these neighborhoods that you all are building up, but safer either through lighting or through some, wider, whatever, before we make any decision. Reba? Reba? You like, hi. Would you like to say something?
I think we should table it, Judge, because we have not sat down and there hasn't been a workshop.
We'll do that, because I asked him a couple of weeks ago, have you reached out to the developers about this? And, I think was trying to do something.
We reached out today.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things I'll suggest too, maybe as part of this fact-finding mission, is find a subdivision that's in place already and ask, do a little research and say, homeowners, if we were to put in a sidewalk all the way around and this was the cost, would you be willing to have an assessment done to your taxes to pay this cost? And then you kind of have an idea from people, hey, no, we don't want to put that in. So if they don't want to put it in after the fact that they've lived there and they see how it works, then future buyers may not want it being imposed upon them either. I mean, I can understand situations like Commissioner Benavides is saying where the safety is an issue because you have older roads that are more narrow, but with our new requirements on the roads and the width, then it may not be as much of a safety concern, but talk to the homeowners, you know, take a survey, and that data should also be included in whatever consideration we're going to do.
I would like to recommend, and I was telling the judge that we hold a meeting with the developers. And I don't mean we, Commissioners Court, I mean we, you know, like.
We staff.
Staff, and come up with some ways where we can be presented with some suggestions as to what possibly can be done that is not cost prohibitive to you all and is not going to be a deal killer for selling lots.
We will do that,
Because we
Commissioner.
want continued development. We know that you provide that service. We just want to find a medium there where, you know, I mean, we know what the requirements are, we know what the needs are, and is there any way we can work together to fit in a few more needs into the requirements?
Without a doubt, we'll do that, and we'll go into it objectively. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Any public comment regarding this that's going to differ from what's already been discussed?
We're gonna table the next item.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Okay. Ernesto, you have something?
I would just like to recommend that, having heard that discussion, is that we've done it in the past. We had a committee when we first started developing the subdivision rules and regulations with the state. I was part of that group, and Scott was there, and a couple other developers were there at the time. But we were addressing a bigger issue, the whole spectrum of subdivision rules and regulations. So we did have engineers there representing the county, developers and developers.
Well, you put it together.
Yeah, we put it together.
You put it together.
We came
and-
to a conclusion, we
Yeah.
recommended, the state was satisfied with it, the Attorney General's office, we adopted the rules and regulations.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you want him to come back to the court and say, this is what we're going to talk about, or just let him
No,
What I'd like
discuss
to
it?
do is recommend to the court is that we form that same committee that
Okay.
we did some years back.
Right.
And you can choose committee members if you
You
like,
choose the
or we
committee
choose them.
members, you bring the
And we'll set up
developers that
a
want to
little,
participate.
Workshop with them, several discussions, and see what the recommendation of the committee is.
Right.
If they're so wanting to address issues as concrete, drainage, lights,
Lighting,
whatever the topic may be, it can be discussed there, and bring back a recommendation to the court with some reasonable expectation that it
And you're
can be done.
talking about within 45 days, 60 days?
I think it's going to take longer than that, Commissioner.
Okay. All
Because
right.
we've
Well,
got
just-
bigger
just
issues
let us
with
know.
lights, and
Yeah.
concrete sidewalks is just a matter of. the
Do I hear a
cost
motion to
and-
close public hearing?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? It is closed. On item G, do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second by Commissioner Gatsa? Discussion?
Just one comment, you know, in the process, if there's anything else that the developers have that they want to bring to the attention of Commissioners Court in
That we're
regards to
missing.
this development that we're missing, that does not compromise the model subdivision rules, you know, this would be that opportunity where we can work on some of those issues, whether it be retention pools, drainage structures, or whatever.
Thank you, Ernesto.
The other thing too, is this only on a multi-plat subdivision or the subdivision in general?
Across the board.
So if I want to build a house and I have 4 acres and I have to subdivide, even though the neighbors don't have a sidewalk, I'm going to have to put one in according to these rules?
Well, only if the subdivision is more than 5 lots, remember? If
Okay,
it's smaller
okay.
subdivisions are exempt from it.
Okay,
Five lots or more.
5 or more, okay.
5 or more.
And
All
that
right.
can be one of those things they look at too, you know, I mean.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. And you get together with them, okay, Ernesto? You get together with the developers?
Yes, sir,
All
sure
right,
would do
okay.
that.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here. Item H, consideration, discussion, direction for Commissioners Court concerning the possible implementation of a fleet management equipment and services system.
Two H's?
That is also coupled with the item H under consent, that we can approve at the same time after this or disapprove.
Judge, Commissioners, a couple meetings ago, we brought an item to you on a possibility of putting together a fleet management system for some of our departments at the county. At the time, Sprint, Geotab came and did a presentation to you. I passed out a proposal on a 90-day pilot program that includes 80 devices. Some of the departments that would be involved in that pilot would be the Public Works Department, Health Department, Parks, and we did send out a memo after that meeting, and we also got the district clerk's office and the elections office wanting to participate. So we think there's about, at this point, 80 or so participants that we can probably put these devices into vehicles and do a 90-day test run and see how it works in terms of efficiency and savings and all the other things that a fleet management system could provide to us.
I just, and maybe you're not the one to ask, David, because the other gentleman was here that day. Does this have like an immobilizing feature on it also?
Yes.
There are some folks
Is there
from
somebody
Spring
here
Hill.
with,
I would guess they do. I know the ones that we have on our trucks, you can disable through the computer. Most of them, that's pretty standard.
It's part of what's included?
Yes.
Because I know there was a theft the other day in Westlaco, a couple of days ago, in which a piece of equipment or a vehicle was driven into the San Benito area, and they were able to track exactly where it was, find it, do everything with this.
They're here.
Oh, they are here. I didn't know they were here. I just want to make sure that
Just introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Justin Davis. I'm a solutions engineer with Sprint. Thank you.
Okay.
Out of Corpus, right?
I'm out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Yes, sir, and I've come down.
What are the features that we're looking at on this 90-day demo? Is basically what my question is.
So you'll get the full package that's included. And what those features include, to answer the first question, there is no immobilization device for the engine diagnostic piece. It will not disable the engine. That has actually been a question asked by fleet managers and various service companies for a long time. And what we found out is that the liability that it puts on the entity using that feature has often created insurance problems as well as possible litigation issues when a vehicle's disabled, especially if it's in motion on a busy highway, if it's involved in a police pursuit scenario such as that. The features that are included...
How does OnStar get away with it?
I'm sorry?
How does OnStar get away with that?
OnStar can get away with it because they're live monitoring the vehicle while it's in motion, and they're working with local law enforcement to bring that vehicle to a safe stop. So the difference with just being able to press a button on your computer and immobilize the vehicle versus working with law enforcement, having an officer on the ground who's working with dispatch and communication,
Okay, so
dictating
that's
that
how
the
they
vehicle-
get around it.
Exactly.
So we could give that ability, let's say, to our sheriff's department to give them the button to push when to shut the engine off, and if they're in contact, then we could do it? Or does the device just not have the capability?
The device does not have the capability because the device is only plugged in through the onboard diagnostic port on the vehicle, which does not give that capability. When you're talking about an OnStar solution, that's actually a module built into the computer of the vehicle. So it's really, the difference of something that was designed within the computer versus something you're adding on to.
Attaching.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, that answers that question.
The features that you were asking for in question, the device plugs into an OBD port, which stands for onboard diagnostic port. It's on any vehicle built after 1996 and some vehicles before 1996. It simply plugs in, it pulls its power as well as its ability to turn on and off of that port. It includes a 3-foot extension cable with a 45-degree arm on it that allows you to move the device into a dash area so it's actually concealed and out of sight, so it can't just be unplugged by a user or a driver. The features built into the solution give you the ability to monitor engine performance. It pulls off odometer readings directly off of the engine, idle time information from the engine, as well as fault codes, and provides such engine service lights, oil lights, temperature lights, as well as the individual fault code that the vehicle may be experiencing. This is a very similar solution that we've worked with several agencies, including, Department of Homeland Security, when they're trying to reduce their costs, because it gives you vital information regarding the vehicle's performance in the field and the ability to maintain that vehicle before it actually breaks down and causes, someone to be disabled in the field. When you're talking about the use in a county scenario, it's probably more important than ever because your geographic area that your vehicles travel would be much broader than a city scenario where you might be able to get dispatch help to somebody immediately. So we generally see the larger the geographical area that you support, the more return on investment you get back from a solution like this, as well as the better performance you're going to see, especially in terms of employee safety in the field.
Is there a panic button associated with this?
This device does not have a panic button directly built into it. However, it has the ability to add external sensors and external ports to it, so you could install a panic device if you needed one. So the device itself, and I believe Mr. Hahn had a device that he showed the panel last week, or 2 weeks ago, and it has, similar to like a charging port on a telephone, a port on the side of the device that when you plug in, you can add additional sensors or additional features to this device. So I'll give you a scenario. If you're working, let's say, with a waste management company, their needs are going to be different than, say, a white fleet utility vehicle that's just going around and doing inspections. A waste management company may want to monitor that swing arm that comes out and lifts up. They may want a panic button in case the driver's attacked or something happens. And they may want, an indication of when the vehicle stops and the lights come on, so they know that all those features are functioning. So you have really limitless expansion capability to this device via an extension plug that gives you multiple sensor connectors to do with what you wish.
It's a good system.
Was the law enforcement department contacted, David? This is more a question.
I believe Mr. Forbes spoke to Captain Reyna. I believe the Sheriff's Department has a current system that they're using, and they're looking at additional options available to them.
So they're already using this
They
system?
have some systems, but not this one in particular. I think they have another system in place.
Any other discussion?
The system that the Sheriff's Department currently uses is made by a company called Federal Signal. It's actually integrated into the vehicles. It was part of a replacement project that they had with their camera systems and other such things. And we're actually providing the data connectivity for those devices as well.
Move to approve.
All right.
I'll second that.
I have a motion to, this is on both items, on the action item and on the consent that was previously, okay?
Judge, the only other thing to discuss would be the budget to use.
The funding source?
The funding source, exactly. We're at the last meeting, we discussed the possibility of tapping into lab salaries. So we just want to make sure
I think
that you're okay
that's
with
where we were going to go with it, all
I
right?
think the health department had also stated that they might have some money in their budget.
In their
Right.
grants and
Yeah.
the public works and.
Right, but just to make it easier to kick it off and to pay for the system, if we can just get direction to use lab salaries.
Didn't you send, or was somebody going to send a correspondence to all the departments? Remember, 'cause I think
we
what they
did.
did was, they did, right?
We
I thought I
did.
saw
I got
something.
one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And,
All right.
and if this works, we can always add, and if you all decide to use this later, next budget, next year.
You want to put
we
one
can
in my
always add.
vehicle, you're more than welcome.
You can put one in my truck too, but
Yeah, they never go anywhere.
And this is for 80 units. The
Okay.
cost of $8,000.
But this included almost any department, right? We talked about you were willing to do just that flat fee for
As many as we want.
as many as we wanted. Is that correct? The last time you were here?
Yes, Judge, that's correct.
Through the end of April.
Yes, as far as the equipment charge goes.
Right.
So last time we met, I promised you that we would do a survey with your departments, take a look at some of your fuel usage and mileage data, and come up with a realistic investment scenario, return on investment scenario for the county.
No, let me ask you, who is going to do that? Are you going to do that in conjunction with the auditor's office?
We did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's already been done partially and is going to be an ongoing process.
So they can monitor.
Basically, what we did was we did a department survey with Chris Davis from Elections, Pedrina Hosa from Health, Ruben Gonzalez from Public Works, Javier Mendez from Parks, and Eric Garza from the District Clerk's Office. We defined project success criteria based on what they wanted to get out of the program on the departmental level. So we can basically set a bar as to,
what they want to
Baselines.
get out of it, right?
Yeah.
And make sure that we're making sure it's successful. We also got a 6-month fuel usage and mileage report for the vehicles for those departments, which was pretty enlightening. And what we're going to want to do is take a look at the same period of time. Let's say we're running, May, June, July of this year. We're going to want to look at the fuel usage from last year during that same period of time and the mileage reports so that we can, do a apples to apples comparison on that. We weren't able to get a concrete maintenance and insurance costs, so we weren't able to factor that into our savings, but based on our survey with the department heads, we outlined the following goals. The number one goal for every department is they want to improve driver behavior and employee safety. That was the same number one priority across the board. Second was improving work crew efficiency, eliminating unauthorized after hours or personal usage of vehicles, reducing vehicle operations costs, including fuel, maintenance, vehicle replacement, out of schedule maintenance costs as well. Track employee usage of vehicle, route efficiency, most efficient use of their time. Elections is particularly interested in tracking the chain of custody of the equipment, I guess the elections devices when they get delivered so they can make sure, where they're at. And also estimating time of arrival for equipment delivery times and increasing insight into the actual costs for running your fleet.
Is fleet maintenance in there? Lee's department? That's in there. Okay.
We have 5 or 6 vehicles.
In all of Road and Bridge?
No, road and bridge is in there.
Okay. What department is not in there?
There's a few. The ones that are in.
That have a lot of vehicles, that have, multi...
Public Works, vehicle maintenance combined, it's about 31 vehicles that are just not heavy equipment vehicles. And then we have the Parks Department, over 20, the Health Department, over 20, and then the district clerks, I'm not sure how many they had, but, and then the Elections Department has 3.
Okay.
No, building maintenance, not.
You didn't include building maintenance?
No, we did not, but like I said, we can always go back and include.
Put them in.
But after the end of this month, it's going to cost us per unit, right?
You need to include now.
Yeah.
Put them in now.
Why don't you come up with you can add, let's give David the authority to add some more before.
We got till the end of the month.
Yeah.
You want to give them authority to add, after if we approve this, to add vehicles?
Up to 100.
Somebody's interested?
Okay.
Or if we think that we can have a savings derived from.
Yeah, because the building maintenance would fit right into some of the items that Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to make I think David needs to make the decision for some of these people, probably.
Yeah, you might need to just say.
Don't give them the choice, just do
Give
it.
them a choice. If you want it, do it.
So from a return on investment scenario, here's basically what we came up with. As part of our survey, we asked the department heads questions like, if you were able to ride along with your employees every day, how would they drive? How many miles do you think you could eliminate? That kind of thing, right? So we came up with an average of eliminating 5 miles per vehicle per workday, basically a trip to the Stripes and back for the most part. Based on that, and the average vehicle MPG of about 17 miles a gallon, we determined that the county could potentially save almost 6 gallons of gas a month per vehicle. At $3.50 a gallon, that's $20.58 per month in savings, so that almost covers your total monthly recurring cost. Green driving, by reducing unnecessary engine idle time, excessive speed. You guys know that like every 5 miles you drive over 65, you drag the vehicle, your fuel economy goes down, and you guys are a rural county, so you have a lot of expressway time in most cases. So by reducing unnecessary engine idle, excessive speed, hard acceleration and hard braking, a minimum of a half-gallon fuel savings. We feel very strongly that's very achievable. We've seen for most customers much more than that, but we're being very, very conservative with you guys. So that gets you another about 10 gallons a month. That's another $35 in additional savings just on fuel costs. That's not baking in any maintenance cost reductions. We also determined that we can get back 30 minutes of unproductive employee time per day. So that is going to equal about 3 work weeks a year.
I think I need to put
For
one of
every
those things
employee.
on me, you know. I could use another 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, so in summary, we tried to set the bar, as realistic as possible for you guys, per your request, Judge, and at a total monthly cost of $33 a month to run it, with the equipment cost normally being $169 a unit. The estimated monthly savings the county would achieve is $50.58. That gives you guys a return on investment of $22.58 a month, which would mean if you paid full regular government flat rate price for the equipment, the service would pay for itself and the equipment would pay itself off by the month 7.5. So almost to the 8th month. And then from then on, you're getting a full recoup on your return on investment by utilizing the current promo that we're doing for you. Of course, you're going to realize an ROI on day one once the units start running.
All right, let's do it. Anybody else you can think of that needs to go on, just let them know.
How long does it store the information of the vehicle?
As soon as it transmits the information, it's not held on the box. It stores, how many data points in the cloud? 100?
Data points
As far as like storing forward?
Oh, several thousand.
Okay, so if you drive through like a coverage area where there's no cell service, it'll store several thousand pieces of data until it comes back into coverage. As soon as it gets a little bit of signal, it transfers it all back. Once it's off, it's in the cloud, it's back in your servers. And I believe Geotab stores that for a year, I want to say, right? And you guys can download and archive reports for your own records retention purposes.
So we can go back as far as a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so in other
Well, you can
words,
go back a year to your system, but once we download it to ours, it's there
then
indefinitely.
you've got reports indefinitely, exactly. So you can go back and let's say 6 months from now, you get a call from a concerned citizen that they saw a vehicle in, Hidalgo County or something. What was it doing over there? Well, you can look up that vehicle for that date range and you can see, if that is indeed the case or not.
And can you set up parameters to let us know, for it to give a signal whenever they go beyond the county line?
Absolutely, that's called a geofence. Basically, what we can do is every department can set up their own parameters.
But it's got to
And-
be activated and it's an added cost, right?
No, it's included.
It's included?
Yeah, all that stuff is included. It's a comprehensive package all the way around. So you can set up a geofence around the entire county. They can geofence county buildings. They can do parks. They can do whatever area they want to know who's going in, who's going out, when is it happening. They can get real-time alerts sent to them if they exceed a speed threshold, they've been idling for too long. It really gives you guys a good grip on what's going on with your fleet.
And so that report will tell us if some guy's sitting in his truck every day for an hour for lunch. At the end of the month, it'll say, this vehicle idled for an hour every day from noon to 1.
I'm sure that never happens in Cameron County, but yes, sir, it has that capability.
Okay. All
And
right.
it'll also give you a complete driver scorecard for every vehicle that will factor in, their MPG, their idle time. Every component that's measurable with this solution, you actually have a driver scorecard too, so you can do some comparative analysis as to driver behavior.
Okay.
Good.
Any other questions?
I would contact the constables as well, see if they'd like to participate in this program if you haven't done so already.
We
The
did.
sheriff already has some of that on
We
a lot of
we
their
actually
units.
did have Constable Burnias, his office, contact us.
Okay.
So.
I would encourage all the constables to get on board.
Maybe you just should, David, just authorize, you authorize, say, we're going to put them in these units.
Yeah, just put them in.
Just put them
Don't-
in.
Yeah, we'll work with the
We're
constable.
giving you that authority.
Yeah, because I know we've at times told them, don't go out of the county, and then Commissioner Garza and I both saw them up on, Highway 77 around Corpus.
Well, it's not football season anymore, so. All right, anything else?
I think we need to determine the number of units we're going to authorize.
We're going to authorize them to increase the number to whoever's.
Up to 100?
Are you
Up
sure
to
you can
a-
get by? Let's make it 125 to be safe.
You don't use it, you don't use it.
That's fine.
All right, 125?
125?
Okay, up to 125.
So move.
I know y'all, I see dollar signs in your eyes already, man.
Like a parrot.
But thank you. All right, I had a motion by Commissioner Sanchez. Second by Commissioner Gatsa. This is on both item H's, under consent and under action.
We already had a motion
All
and a
in-
second.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't write it down. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Thanks. Item I, discussion and possible action concerning the renewal of a MOU with Cameron County Sheriff Lucio, elected District County Court at Law Judges, appointed Masters Court, Child Protection Court Judges, and Constable Precinct 2 Abel Gomez for providing for individual courtroom bailiffs for each court, prisoner handling, courthouse security at 974 Harrison. Bruce, this is your item?
Yeah, that was one that I need to speak to you just a few seconds in executive session on, and then we can take it up. in
Okay, so you
open
want to
session.
defer this till after?
Could I make
Please.
a comment before you go in?
Sure.
Just as long, on our behalf, if we could just get it ran by the executive director of the jail standards, would appreciate that, Mr. Hodge.
I think this is the one that the Director of Jail Standards recently approved, and it has not been modified in any great material
Well,
respect.
even if it was changed since the last time, if he just,
Just signatories.
I
That's all.
appreciate it. That's, we'd like that courtesy.
Well, I mean, that we can do that. Let me just discuss it with them briefly in executive session. We can talk about what your needs are shortly thereafter, okay?
All right, okay, we'll defer that till after executive session. Item J, discussion and possible action on the request for proposals regarding the inmate phone system. Dilbia?
Judge and Commissioners, 2 weeks ago, there was an item for consideration and approval to go out for RFPs on the inmate phone system. Our current contract is in place. The original term expires in October, and there is a renewal of 2 years. If we are going to go out for RFPs, then I need some direction from the court to go ahead and give notice, because there is a 90-day requirement that we need to give the vendor before the term ends. At this point in time, the company that provides this service is in compliance of the terms of the contract, and so I just want to make sure this is what the court wants, and then I'll come back in 2 weeks and put on for direction that I would give that 90-day notice.
What did we do 2 weeks ago, Dilbia?
You actually, the item was consideration and authorization to advertise for the following: inmate phones, equipment, local and long-distance services.
Okay, so what did we do?
You actually approved going out for RFPs for this service.
So why do we got to do it again?
No, I'm not asking you to do it again. I'm just asking if this is, the current contract we have right now would require us to give 90 days notice.
It's not expired?
No, it's not.
Till October.
But it does have the
It has
option to extend for a couple of
The
years.
original term will end in October, and then there's a 2-year renewal. And if we are not going to renew it, then we need to give them 90 days notice. And when y'all took action last week, the last meeting, then I'm going to need some direction from the court to go ahead and give that notice.
Well, but if we took action, doesn't that tell you that you're supposed to do a 90-day notice because we are going to go out for RFPs?
No, I need actual direction from the court.
What if we do the RFPs and they win the bid again?
They can bid again.
Okay, so do we need to give the 90-day notice
We
then?
do need to give that 90-day notice.
So regardless, we need to give the 90-day notice that we're looking
That we're going to go
for
out
new
for,
bids.
well, because we're not going to be basically renewing this contract.
Okay, well, I guess you need to send them the notice then.
Mike, do you have anything to say?
It automatically renews if we don't. That's
If we
the
don't,
verbiage in the.
that's why I need to.
Okay, well then, what do we need?
They still have an
I'm gonna put it on,
opportunity.
and then I'll put it on in the next Commissioners Court meeting to go ahead and give the 90-day notice that we will not be renewing the contract.
Well, can we do it on this agenda item today?
I was talking with
I mean,
Bruce over that, and he said he feels it
Discussion
would be
and
better to
possible
do
action
it.
on request. I move that we request for proposals regarding the telephone system, and if that includes giving a 90-day notice, because we're going out for requests, do it.
It's actually interrelated, but it's two separate things. I think the court action would be more appropriate if you have an agenda item next session to authorize us to send them a notice of non-renewal. And then, like we've been discussing, they can rebid if they wish, to try to keep the contract or come up with a modified contract.
What happens, though, if we do the RFP and none of them are as good as just the renewal? We've already sent them a notice that we're not going to renew?
See, that's the problem. We're kind of between a rock and a hard place here. If we want to search out other possibilities, we need to be able to renew in order for this contract not to automatically renew. I mean, we need to, I'm sorry, we need to give a notice of non-renewal in order for it not automatically to renew.
And so we think we can get a better price by doing a new bidding process?
Well, if we don't do it, Commissioner, the RFP process usually takes anywhere from 30 to 60 days. And by then, if we find someone that does give us a better option, then it will be too late to give that 90-day notice.
They're willing to
I'm not
also give a
renewing.
better value than they have right now. We don't want to get stuck with 5 years.
So send the 90-day?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's our recommendation.
So move, well, I would like to just say that we take action and request for proposals and included in that, send a 90-day notice. That's my motion.
I'll second that if it's all
Well,
right.
that's your motion, that's fine.
That's my
You know,
motion.
take action.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I had a motion by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Hernandez to RFP the inmate phone system, and at the same time giving the existing vendor a 90-day notice.
Which is part of the RFP.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item K, discussion and possible action on approving an interlocal agreement for beach maintenance and beach user fee collection. Javier?
Yes, Judge, Commissioners, I put this on the agenda because of the recent annexation by the city. They annexed the two sections of beach on the south end and the north end. And the city is also in the process of applying for a beach user fee plan inside their city limits. So the GLO requires us to create an interlocal. And what this interlocal does is it designates each entity to be responsible for their jurisdiction. They're going to be responsible for maintaining the area in front of the Hilton, which they annexed, and in front of, or the beach by the, behind the Schlitterbahn, which they annexed. And one of the things that I put in here was that it would take effect September 1st of 2013, which is the state's fiscal year, the beginning of the fiscal year, and that won't interfere with our beach maintenance reimbursement application.
Will it interfere in the next fiscal year?
Yes, sir. It'll take effect next fiscal year.
Have you figured out how much that will be, have you?
No, I haven't. It won't be a lot. I mean, the width of the Hilton is about 250 feet wide, and then the section behind Schlitterbahn, I guess it's maybe 1/3 of a mile. I don't know what that would be, 2,000 or 1,500 feet. And what they do is the GLO, the way they base their reimbursement is based on the linear footage of beach.
Right, so it would reduce it.
It would reduce it a little.
Will this do anything to our beach user fee program?
No, sir.
It won't impact it at all?
It won't impact it at all.
It's just going to be the responsibility of has the city of South Padre approved their plan yet?
No, they've submitted it, and it's in review right now by the state.
So can we move forward with this without them having an approved plan in place?
Yes, we could, because it states here that they are, let's see, they are currently seeking authorization from the General Land Office to charge parking permit fees. So if it doesn't happen,
You know, where is that at? Where they want to charge for parking permit fees?
it's on the first page, on page 1, it's the third whereas from the bottom up.
Yeah, I know, but physically, like on the map.
Oh, on the map. Well, what they want to do is they want to charge along Gulf Boulevard. There's a couple of cul-de-sacs that they have, and they want to charge parking, collect a parking fee in there.
Well, that's between them and the GLO, right?
Right.
Kind of like meters?
Like meters.
Is there other meters like within the city on Gulf Boulevard?
No. No?
No, I know that they had tried to pass this, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and they came up with some opposition from the state, you know, and of course the public about putting meters along the entire strip of Gulf Boulevard.
Doesn't that kind of go against the Open Beaches Act?
Well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to provide some free parking and then some charge parking. So it wouldn't, I guess, be non-compliant with their beach.
You know, a
Open
parking
Beaches Act.
fee would set a whole new precedent on all of the open beaches, right? I mean, that would be like a whole different ballgame of
Restrictions.
well, that, you know, again, the Open Beaches Act would be. Is this in front of county property?
Yes, sir.
So they're only gonna charge in front of county property?
No, they're not going to charge in front of the county property. What
No.
they're going to do, they're going to maintain and clean the beaches.
Right, but the parking meter fees or the parking fees that they're looking at, they're in cul-de-sacs, that's
That's inside
the original areas?
Correct.
Okay. So then we
Which
need-
is not, does not cover county property, right?
That's correct.
Or newly annexed county property? Right.
Oh.
Okay. Does legal recommend we approve this? Yes? You're okay
And
with
I
the
believe-
language?
Have you
and-
had talked with the GLO, right?
That's correct.
And that this is something that has to be done? That needs to be, there needs to be a memorialization of this, of who, the duties to the respective beaches.
Okay, move to
So,
approve.
so we're passing
Second.
on the duty to the,
Of
to
maintenance
this
of that.
entity.
After
Yes.
September 1st.
But along with the duty, then they also get to charge the parking fee that, say, we charge in Isla Blanca?
No, it's just within their, in specific areas in their cul-de-sac. When they submit their plan, they have to designate where they're going to be charging and how much they're going to be collecting. And that's only on Gulf Boulevard. And then they have beach access cul-de-sacs, but that are in the original city limit line, not, or boundaries, not in this new annexed area.
Anything else? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Item L, discussion and possible action regarding Cameron County's legislative agenda for 83rd Legislature. Do we have anything, David, to report?
Yeah, just a quick update, Judge. Judge, of course, you were there on Monday testifying on the Veterans Bill that you're working on. And then Commissioner Benavides was there on Tuesday testifying on the Open Beaches Act bill that we're working on with the GLO and with SpaceX. Yesterday, the House passed this version of the bill and on the floor, the full House, and so it looks like that bill is moving along. I wanted to talk about some of the legislation that is being considered and y'all getting correspondence, emails, calls, or whatever regarding pending legislation. In particular, there's a bill, House Bill 611, I think it was mentioned earlier in one of the discussions. Ryan Guillen is carrying out. He is trying to make some changes to the existing subdivision rules or subdivision regulations through this legislation. Hidalgo County did contact us earlier this week asking for us to look at the bill and see if there's anything we can do from the county's point of view and the county commissioner's perspective to either oppose it or call our legislators with some concerns on the bill. We looked at it and we talked to Hidalgo County, we talked to our reps. I think they're trying to work out some of the issues with regards to the purchaser and seller agreements that are being looked at in this bill. With regards to the acreage, minimal acreage needed in the bill. And then also with regards to making sure there's adequate amount of time for curing certain issues that occur in the subdivision process. So I'm not sure if the court wants to take a position on that. You know, as mentioned earlier, this is a bill that's been introduced in the past. I know it's being worked on, and I think Scott's here as well as Kevin. They're working on that bill with Representative Guillen, and they may have a little bit more to add, shed some light on the bill. But at this point, all we can say is there may be some issues. We had our engineering department look at it. They did have some concerns, but again, I believe some of those concerns are being addressed with the author of the bill to move the bill forward. So,
Y'all want to, Mr. Campbell, would you like to?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I did. You gave me two, so I gave her one.
Okay, good. Scott Campbell, speaking for Texas Land Development Association and for our own company. As recently as 12 o'clock last night, I had a text from folks, and I talked to Representative Guillen at 11:30. They were trying to address this bill. First off, it does not change any of the requirements concerning water and sewer. This bill is a relatively narrow bill in that a great bit of it was put in there, such as standard for roads, 10-acre, 5 to 10-acre clarification, suit by private individual, which is not included in what I've not included in here, was all requested by others, Don Lee and Eddie Lucio III, Representative Lucio. For as far as the developers, we've requested the right to be able to do earnest money contracts. That has been, looks like that's going to come out of the bill. There is a clarifier on the notice to opportunity to cure, and in there they're putting clarification that the right to clear does not include water and sewer issues. They're going to leave in the right to advertise. The suit by private person is going to be modified in that they're going to say they're giving them a lot of latitude, but they are going to say in there that the qualifier is as required by this subsection, those words. The only real change on the present wording comes in the definition is sale includes an offer to sell. That looked like it was going to come out originally, but now that we've got the earnest money is going to come out of the bill, that probably will stay just as it is. Most of this is in response to a few problems that they had in Hidalgo County, where there was a developer that we believe that was within his rights to act as he did. The Attorney General filed on him, spent close to $100,000 curing it, and in the end, it doesn't appear that there was a violation, but had he had already cured the issues that were there, but nonetheless, he had to spend $100,000 to provide legal counsel to protect himself. So we're just asking that on administrative items, non-substantive items, things that are not health and safety concern, that we be allowed to cure those within a period of time. This calls for 90 days. I think that we've agreed to reduce that to 30 days. I do not know anywhere in here where this creates any burden on the county. The 10 acre issue, if you like it the way it is, you just leave it alone. If you would like to do what the bill says, you go ahead and say that the developer has to plat anything over 5 acres, between the 5 and 10 acres, which right now you don't have to plat if you don't want to. So that is most of the requirements of the bill. Let's see. Like
So
I say,
why is Hidalgo so adamantly opposed to the changes?
that is basically Raul Cecine. Raul Cecine is very much in unison with the advocates, and they never saw a developer they ever liked. And I hate to say about my friend Raul, but that's kind of the way he feels.
So it's not the commissioners' court that's opposing it?
I don't know, because the commissioners we talked to, they had not taken action at the time. They may have now. I do not know. But I do know that they have they have agreed to some changes in the bill, as I said.
Well, they saw it as a weakening of the model subdivision rules.
No, sir. It doesn't weaken anything.
You know, Ernesto, what was your take on this when you looked at it? I know that you reviewed it. Or maybe Alex, I don't know. No, Alex is not here.
I've not had a chance to review all the data in here in this proposed bill.
So you're not against this?
Well, I talked a little bit with Scott as far as their position. County's position has always been that we work with developers as long as within the guidelines of the requirements and meets state law. Now, there's some little things, there's some issues there on money earners contracts and all that. I'm not sure what that language is, more legal stuff than I can.
But what does that have to do with the county, earnest money contracts?
No, I think
State
what
statute.
Scott was saying, that you,
No, but at the county level.
housekeeping situation for us, not situation, but if it passes the way it's shown here, it's going to require some bookkeeping. In the interim time that...
Why would it require
No,
bookkeeping?
well, because somebody has to know, or I guess the county would have to know that time period between the seller and the buyer. You see what I'm saying?
Well, to clarify that the earnest money contract, the earnest money contract puts a lid at $250 for earnest money. It is refundable upon a request, automatically refundable in 90 days unless the seller and the buyer agree to extend it for another 90 days. If it is extended another 90 days, then automatically the developer has to refund the money. And
basically though, in a nutshell...
It's between two private individuals.
Right, but Section 6, basically, in a nutshell, is being able to sell lots before the property's developed, right?
No, sir. It's the ability to go into an earnest money contract, but not close.
Reserve a lot.
You cannot inhabit.
Yeah, but, you're in essence reserving a lot.
You're reserving a lot, yes, sir.
You're selling a lot,
Well, you're agreeing to sell a lot. But nobody, but there is no ability to move into the lot. Nobody can
That used
inhabit
to
the
occur
lot.
in the past, right?
Pardon me?
That practice was allowed in the past, years back. Maybe like 15 years ago?
For earnest money or to actually purchase?
Earnest money contracts.
Not really. You can't, years past, when you did a contract for deed, perhaps.
Yeah.
But where you're doing a note and deed of trust, you can't do that. Because you don't have anything to pass on. You haven't passed it. You cannot sell it you cannot convey it because you don't have anything conveyed because it's not been passed by the commissioner's court.
But there has to be an escrow agent for the earnest money?
Yes, sir.
Who's independent of the parties?
Yes, it has to, title company, basically.
Right. So, how does that affect the county, or how does How does it?
It wouldn't. There are a tremendous amount of restrictions that if I don't return the money, then there is penalties.
But you don't actually hold the money. The
No.
escrow agent holds
The
it.
escrow agent holds the money, that's correct.
So if they decide, hey, I don't want to buy this lot for whatever reason, they have the 90 days, or you can agree to extend it
They can
90
agree
days
to-
with
Yes,
them.
sir. If they don't agree to extend it, it is automatically refund.
So until you close the deal, you don't get any money.
That's correct.
So why do
What?
Pardon me?
My question,
Go ahead.
my question, when I was up there, what I heard was that this bill was lowering the building code requirements.
No, sir, it does not touch anything concerning that.
Then why would the reps tell me that?
Because of Raul Cecine, if you want to know the truth, there
Well, I
has
don't
been a
know who that
tremendous
is.
amount of misinformation about this bill.
Okay, well, let me ask you, has anybody read the whole bill?
Well, yes, sir.
Okay, and so, I'm talking about
Eddie,
from our staff.
Eddie, well, from
Coun-
your
county
staff, I don't have any idea.
David or Nessa, have you read the whole bill?
I read this.
Well, yeah, but
That's a whole bill.
you read what? You've read the whole bill as it's filed right now, or just this summary page?
I read the analysis, the background purpose.
Okay, is there anything in there that talks about reducing building codes requirements or lowering building code requirements, or?
What's the issue?
Because that's what I kept hearing when I
Well,
was up there.
and Judge, if I may, I was up there yesterday, actually, and I met with Don Lee, because we had our Conference on Urban Counties meeting, and originally this bill had some things that they weren't in tune with. But he sat with Ryan, they addressed the issues, and whatever the issue was got removed.
Was the building code, though, one of the issues?
I don't
though?
know if it was a building code. He just said, as it is now, we're fine with it. Conference on Urban Counties. And then, I'm sorry? Okay. And then I talked to Eddie Lucio this morning, State Representative Lucio this morning, and I asked him, are there any issues with the bill? He says, based on the amendments that were made, he says, I don't really see any. He didn't think his dad would be supporting it because his dad's always worked against the developer in terms of taking advantage of situations that have created colonias. But I think what was 20 years ago is no longer the fact today. And so, the senator has a passion for looking out for all the little people and the citizens out there. But by the same token, I think because of the passage of time and all the regulation and everything that's gone in, a lot of the problems of yesterday no longer exist today. And I think what you're talking about is the concern that there could be some reversal of that, and that was the concern. But I hadn't heard that there was any of that from State Rep Lucio. I also contacted Oscar Longoria to ask him, because this was a topic we discussed yesterday up there. But Donnelly seemed to be fine with it, and I don't know. I mean, that's what I was asking. How does it hurt the rules?
And what I heard, part of this bill was undoing some of Senator Lucio's legislation over the last 15, 20 years. I don't know, again,
No,
I,
sir. Other than earnest money contracts, which now is not allowed, that would be the only thing that they could say, and that looks like it's come out of the bill anyway.
Yeah,
But
and
the
I was going to say,
Just a Conference of Urban Counties approved it, Texas Municipal League approved it, County Judge and Municipal and Commissioners Association also have they all testified and put in a card for approval.
Well, but some of the things is that, like the Judges and Commissioners Association is a statewide association.
how about the South
And
Texas?
they forget about the border area and the issues that we face along the areas that we represent. And I know that sometimes they take stands on things that I totally disagree with, as far as the association is concerned, because, they're in West Texas where they don't have the urbanized development as you're proposing in Los Fresnos. I mean, you're creating a city in basically in a rural area,
Don Lee addressed that. He said that, there will be some that will not agree with it. And he's speaking as a whole because he felt like the issue of the 5 acre needed to be clarified.
I did visit. I sat next to the county judge from El Paso yesterday at our meeting, and I asked her, if they were against it, and at first glance, she didn't seem to have much information on it. So I don't know that El Paso's against it per se, or Hidalgo County, from what I understand, I don't know that the Commissioners Court has taken a stance. I think there was an employee from the county that was up there advocating against, but I don't know if that employee had any direction from the court or a position from the court.
No, I spoke to an individual in the judge's office over there, and the commissioner's court over there hasn't taken a position, but
Had not taken a position yet.
So how is an employee up there advocating against on behalf of the
that's
county?
their deal.
We wanted to ask that question, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Because he's a citizen too.
Well,
You know, I
but-
mean, there's a lot of people that
Right.
go up to the Capitol and testify.
Testifying for Hidalgo County,
Well,
but it never had.
Well, I think we
maybe
need
it's his
to,
department.
I think we need to make a call, not necessarily today, but if we're going to oppose this bill, we do it. But I'd like to hear from the senator's office and find out, if he's against it, then he may know some information that we do not.
Yeah, just real quick on that point, on the bill analysis, it says House Bill 611 increases from 10 or more acres to more than 10 acres, the minimum subdivision lot size required for an exemption from county subdivision plating requirements in a county near an international border, makes the requirements for a subdivider of land in such a county to have a subdivision plat prepared contingent on at least one of the subdivision lots being 5 acres or less, and authorizes the Commissioner's Court by order to require the preparation of a plat if at least one of the lots of a subdivision is more than 5 acres, but not more than 10 acres. So,
Ernesto?
Just a short explanation about that.
To the mic.
Since
To the microphone.
between the 5 and the 10 acre rule that is kind of, right now, it's not in the books, but it's being proposed, is that instead of the legislature making a state mandate to clarify the 5 and, between the 5 and the 10.
Each county
It leaves
decides.
it up to the county to adopt order or something imposing those requirements in order for you to subdivide.
The language in the bill says a Commissioner's Court by order may require each subdivider of land to prepare a plat if at least one of the lots of a subdivision is more than 5 acres, but not less than 10.
Okay, just to wrap this particular topic up, can you contact the senator's office and Reps Oliveira and ask them what their take is on this and just get back to us?
I think the big issue here is the earnest money contract agreements.
But that's
where-
between, that really has nothing to do with Cameron County or a county as an entity. That's between the buyer and the seller.
Again, if that's an issue that the senator is talking about, maybe they can give us,
Yeah, give
shed
us
some light on it for
Yeah,
us.
can you do
You're
that?
saying that that's no longer part of the bill. It got taken out. That was part of the compromise?
Yeah, the compromise took out earnest money contract and put in that the right to cure does not address water or sewer issues.
So those remain the same?
Yeah, it remained the same anyway, but the right to cure, if I didn't put in a water or sewer, I don't have 90 days to cure if I didn't put in the water or the sewer. That's
done.
out. You're going to come after me immediately.
Right.
But if I forgot to renew a letter of credit, which happens, or if I didn't get the Spanish translation correct, or some non-issue that affects
Utility.
health and safety, water and sewer, if it doesn't affect those, then I've got the ability to address that. And that is the limit of the bill. I mean, it is very limiting. The earnest money contract issue is very limited, but that's something we had to give up in order we felt like there were some things in here we needed to address.
Okay.
The road issue, it was important to the county's association felt like they wanted to put the word new in there, so you couldn't go in and say, well, the county's got some caliche roads over here. I'm just going to do my subdivision as meets the county caliche roads. No, it has to be the new roads that the county, the conditions that the county puts in new roads
I think
for
that was the
equal traffic.
biggest thing that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why the folks in Hidalgo were adamantly against it. because it just referred to roads, and there's Caliche Road, so theoretically, you could expose yourself to developing a new subdivision with
Oh, the Caliche Road.
Okay?
See,
That takes care of that problem.
Yeah,
You know,
and that was,
so
and
there
that was
was
in the
very
bill from the very
legitimate
beginning.
reason for
This
that
bill
to be
passed the
approved.
House twice last session.
It's gonna be on the floor today, right?
Yes, sir.
It was on the floor yesterday.
Tuesday, and there were some issues, so they felt like they needed to iron out some issues, and it appeared that as of 11:30 last night, they'd come to some kind of
Well,
agreement.
If it doesn't compromise what we're gonna be doing,
No, sir.
you know, I don't
There-
have a problem with it. If it does, I do have a problem.
There-
Because my
there-
understanding was that it was
there-
compromised.
No,
I
it
mean,
do- it does not
As a matter of fact,
compromise.
my call to Ryan B. Guillen was, you know, I mean, if it's so important to you in a county your size, bracket it to 50,000 or less and let us alone. Right?
Well, let's do this. Can you contact the senator's office and have him give you something in writing, what his position is on it? And then it may pass the House, but it's going to die somewhere else.
It will, the senator, I highly suspect, will be against, because he's against everything we put up.
Well, I'd like to hear it
But-
from him.
but
Maybe he's had a
certainly-
change.
Certainly, you need to hear all sides.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And if he can, David, if you can find out his reasoning for it. I mean, what we do as a body is really not going to make a whole lot of difference.
Well, it is important to the legislators, Representative Oliveira and those guys up there. They don't, if y'all have a real issue with it, they want to know.
Right.
And if it is like it is right now, it's just a lot of misinformation being slung around, that's one thing. But if there's a substantive issue, we'd like to know.
Okay, can you contact him and just get something to us the next few days?
If it's all right, I'd like to hear what you hear, because if it's substantive, we don't want to pass anything that would be harmful to the county, because in the long run, it doesn't serve us either.
All right, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Campbell. David, continue.
Yes, a couple of other bills. The vehicle registration fee bill that this court had on their agenda to approve, it's come out of the committee with a substitute language. That language calls for a local referendum to go up to the $20 fee. There was a bill this week that was passed by Senator Zaffarini that does the same exact thing that Cameron County and Hidalgo County are doing. Webb County also wants to get in to being able to collect a fee to use to pay for transportation projects. And that bill was up to $10. There was no local referendum language in it. But our bill, which would go up to 20 if approved by this Commissioners Court, does at this point have that language in there. So, and we'll continue to look at that bill and monitor and see what transpires.
And who added the referendum?
The committee.
The committee as a whole?
As a whole, the chairman, yeah.
Not like the chairman or?
Probably the chairman. I mean, he's the one that would move the bill out, but the committee, I think, wants to see that language in there.
Okay.
There was another bill that came up this week having to do with an overweight corridor in McAllen. And, I mean, I think they wanted to see if the county would oppose that bill.
Oppose it?
Right. What we're seeing in other parts of the state, and the judge knows well because he was on the Panama Canal working group, is there's other areas of the state that are looking at overweight corridors to move their product in and out, back and forth, different areas throughout their counties and regions. And so they have a bill that will help them move produce in and out of the produce terminal there at the Foreign Trade Zone in McAllen and into the FAR Bridge and eventually the Ansalduas Bridge. We have a bill as well to extend our overweight corridor into Los Indios. That bill passed out of the committee this week. So there are several bills out there that look at overweight corridors, the ability to move product quicker in an environment, in a designated area that doesn't allow trucks to get out of that area. And so, our recommendation would be, to allow, any region or any other county that's looking at ways to improve their bridge movement, their areas
Trade.
of commerce and efficient trade, movement of goods and services, to allow them to do that. I mean, there is talk that that might hurt our area. You know, one could argue that, one could argue against that. So I think, you know, we should just hold our position and allow them to move forward on their bill and allow our bill to move forward and then go from there.
Well, who wants us to oppose it?
I'm not sure. There's a couple of folks that are out there.
I've been getting some emails with regard to that, so, I mean.
Yeah, and I think.
But I think there's a lot of misinformation.
Well, it's a discussion that should be had. I mean, there's a discussion that should take place with regards to what the Port of Brownsville is doing, moving their steel, what McAllen is doing, what other areas of the state are doing, and what Laredo is doing, and so.
I mean, as long as the parameters are within what we've got, you know, I mean, it's all the same parameters.
Yeah.
It ought to be available to whoever is out there that wants to utilize that particular tool to help their economy.
Because we're asking for the same thing, right?
We're asking for an expansion
Yeah.
of the trade corridor.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're asking for the Los Indios expansion for hazardous issues, for, you know, if there's an issue at the bridge where you can reroute, you know, which makes sense, and develop more commerce.
Well, and I think as a whole, I mean, it puts us in a competitive stage with El Paso, that if, you know, El Paso as a corridor has more overweight activity and we don't, we can lose a lot of that commerce as a region, where it's all going to go that way because they're allowing it, and over here, well, we have, you know, Cameron County, but that's not enough.
Yeah, and I think it's 90% of the land border traffic that comes across comes through Laredo, but then after that, every other port gets, you know, a sizable chunk of that traffic coming in through their ports of entries. And so, I mean, there's that, as we've seen with our reports, quarterly commercial traffic has not dropped. Actually, it's increased. So there is the slice of pie is big enough for everybody there to be able to benefit from that movement. So just wanted to bring those bills up, wanted to brief the court, and you know, if there's any issues that come up with.
I think we need to support them.
We also got a call from McAllen earlier in the week asking us if we had any concerns. I told them that I'd bring this up in Commissioner's Court and talk about it. So that's it.
All right.
You know, how about the one that came in last night on HB 2900, which is a bill that would repeal the ability to maintain roads, county roads, without calling into the dig center. And, you know, right now we can maintain within our county road right-of-ways without calling in to 1-800-UDIG or whatever that is.
Come out and mark everything.
Yeah, there's an amendment by Representative Dale, you know, that is up today, that would not allow us to maintain any road without giving a 24-hour notice and waiting 2 days for them to respond before maintenance could be done on the road. And the bill originally introduced did not have that. He introduced an amendment or a substitute to it that repeals the exception that allows us to do that work on county roads, that would, you know, in some cases in an emergency situation would delay being able to go fill a pot or a cave in or whatever. So I think that we need to
We'll look at it.
To look
We'll
at
talk
that.
to-
It's the substitute for HB 2900, and I think we need to make sure that, you know, we call these folks. The only one on the committee is Oliveira, because that's a State Affairs Committee bill. So we need to make sure to let them know that that would hinder the delivery of services to our residents in the county. I mean, you'd add 4 days to doing a work order.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that?
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we'd have to ask
Dale.
Rep. Dale, you know. Luckily, he's not on the committee, but he substituted the amendment and it was put into record.
We'll follow up on that.
Okay?
That's it.
Anything else? Do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So are we going to take a position on supporting McCallum?
Yeah, I think we should support the overweight corridors,
Or just not oppose it,
or not oppose it.
Yeah,
you
just-
know. I mean, just, we don't have a problem with it.
you know? Adam, do I have a motion to acknowledge?
So move.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. Item M, consideration approval of paying agent registrar agreements for certain outstanding county obligations. Whose is that?
Yeah, we got a letter in the mail, we got a letter from this, from our agent saying that they no longer were going to provide the services for the obligations, and so we are asking for...
Who are we talking about?
BBVA, Compass.
Okay.
So we're asking...
Is that not part of their contract?
I'm
Doesn't-
not sure.
They'll be, or?
I'm not sure because I don't know what this item is about at all. I haven't been briefed on this one.
Well, they're the agent that pays or forwards the money or whatever, right?
Right.
We have a contract with that.
I'm not sure
particular-
that's in their contract or not. But we're just asking for authorization to seek out another agent.
I would do that, but I would first look at the contract and see what obligations they have to this county and for how
Javier?
long.
Yeah, I know Pete was speaking to bond counsel in reference to that and see whom was going to substitute or who we're going to contract with. I believe the termination was through our last debt service payments, and it's only for specific issues. I don't remember which ones they are. 2005 and 7.
The what?
Series 2005 and 2007 COs. And so we need to get somebody in place before the next payments, which are due in October 1st, I believe.
Who are the other, we have a lot of other
Yeah,
series of bonds.
there's Bank of New York, Mellon, that we also pay, and then there's
Yeah, but who is our paying agent for those other ones?
the Bank of New York, Mellon is one of the
Is a
paying
paying
agents.
agents?
There's BBVA Compass, and then there's,
So BVA Compass is a paying agent on other obligations.
correct. They
just
But they
don't
don't want
handle
these
this?
two.
yeah, I'm not really sure why. I mean, they didn't give an explanation. It's just that they were, I believe there was an option that they were exercising their option to no longer be the paying agent, just giving us the required notice. And so now we have to find, someone else. But I know Pete was speaking to bond counsel in reference to what that process may be. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
All right, so what do you need from us?
The ability
To go, and-
Just
look for
approve
someone
it
else?
to look for someone else, to seek.
all right, do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Presentations. Presentation on child abuse and neglect in Southern Cameron County.
We made him wait all this time.
How are you doing?
How you doing? Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing us to be here again today. As you know, this is Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month, and so on behalf of the Cameron County Child Welfare Board, Lynette Benavides, the President, we thank you for the opportunity. We have some special guests with us today. When looking at child abuse and neglect, you have to, it's not just CPS that does it. There's lots of different partners that come together to ensure that children are safe. And so I brought one of our board members, Mary Ramos, who's sitting down over there. And we have Angel de la Garza, who is our CPS board liaison and CPS supervisor, and Al Cardenas, who is the community initiative specialist with us from Corpus Christi, who came as well to go over some of the statistics with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Child Welfare Board and what we've done over the past year and include some of our stats. For a moment, I want you to think about the fact that last night over 200,000 children didn't sleep in their home. Those are our foster kids. And by tomorrow morning, 5 more children will be dead, victims of abuse and neglect in our country. We have 300 of those foster children currently in our county, and the numbers continue to grow. And so while we often think that it's a CPS situation, this is a community situation. It has to do with the different cities, with the county, the state, with the government, and with all our local nonprofits and for-profit organizations to ensure that children are safe. The Cameron County Child Welfare Board, Judge Gaskos, just so you know, is now CCCWB Inc., and we are working on our tax-exempt status. We're in the process. One of our board members, Judge Aaron Hernandez, did start working on that for us, and so it has been filed. One of our major accomplishments for the year as an organization. But our purpose is to provide a program of casework services to those children in need of protective services and financial support in the care of CPS, including foster care and other resources necessary for dependent and neglected, abused, or exploited children, and act in an advisory capacity between CPS and the local community, as well as make recommendations to meet the physical, mental, and emotional needs of the children, and serve as an intermediary between CPS and you all. Again, we want to educate the community about abuse and neglect, work as a liaison between CPS and the public to increase community awareness and child welfare programs and policies, and provide financial support to ensure a child's immediate needs are met, as well as opportunities for children to communicate and reunite with their siblings and families, because the overall goal, of course, of CPS is to reunite children with their families and to keep families together. Again, there's a little bit about our background. We had 8 members. We're currently back to 7, which is the minimum required by the Commissioner's Court. Our primary funding is received from jury duty fees, donations, and contributions. A CPS caseworker is assigned to our board, and we meet the second Wednesday of every month, which people are welcome to attend with advance notice, being that it is held at the CPS offices in Brownsville and in Harlingen. At this moment, I want to pass this over to Al or Mr. Cardenas to talk a little bit about Cameron County statistics for 2012.
Thank you, Lynette. Judge, Commissioners, first I want to thank y'all for having us here. In terms of the statistics that we have, this comes from our data book in reference to the fiscal year 2012. Cameron County has, in 2012, had a child population of 137,876 children. During fiscal year 2012, our agency received 4,549 intakes, or as what we refer as referrals, that there may be possibly abuse and neglect occurring in a family. Of these intakes, 3,806 were referred for investigations. As a result of the investigations, we found that, there were 6,264 children that were alleged victims. Of those, 1,819 children were confirmed victims of abuse and neglect in Cameron County. We removed 191 children during fiscal year 2012. They were placed in foster homes, preferably in this county. However, with the current foster care system that we have, some of these kids may have to be placed in other counties throughout the state. There were 3,305 children who received in-home services. And by in-home services, what I'm talking about is, as a result of an investigation, we may find that there is not enough to legally remove children and place them in a foster home. So what we do is the children remain with their families, and we provide services to all children in the families, to include the parents and any other household members that may be adults that are residing there. In Cameron County, there were 3 fatalities. 3 is too much. However, compared to other areas or counties of the state, you're doing a lot better. We had 19 children that were adopted. That is a concern for our region, and as a result of that, what we have done is we have a new program director housed in Harlingen. Her name is Denise Barrera, and her job and function is to work with children that are in foster care, specifically those children that have had their parental rights terminated. And so what we do is we work with our staff in getting these children adopted. They go through the Texas Adoption Resource Exchange, which is a website that families throughout the state and the nation have access to in order to consider children that they may want to adopt. In terms of confirmed victims per 1,000 children, you're looking at 13.2 kids victims for every 1,000 here in Cameron County. Now, our case confirmation rate, and I believe that's a grammatical error. I believe what we meant was case confirmation rate. And what that is 27% of the cases, let's say if you have 100 cases, 27 for 2012 came back as reason to believe, or that we felt that there was abuse and neglect occurring in the home. Now, one of the things that occurs is that in a family, you may have a sibling group of 5, and of the 5, 2 may be the victims, and the other 3 are not victims of abuse and neglect. However, as an agency, we will provide services for all 5 children in the home, and we do provide service plans for all family members as well. As Ms. Benavides stated, our goal is to reunite children with the families. We work diligently to ensure that that occurs. However, many times, unfortunately, that will not happen. One of the things that this region has done to improve services for the Rio Grande Valley, and this is a result of the population explosion that's occurring here, is that we have a regional nurse housed here in Cameron County. Our education specialist is housed in McAllen, Hidalgo County. And then last week we interviewed to have an individual to do what I do for the counties of Hidalgo, Willacy, Starr, and Cameron. So now that is a part-time position, although it is going to help me in helping the counties, because we'll have someone here that can focus solely on the 4 counties while I assist that individual and also work with the other 19 counties that comprise our region.
I have a question to ask.
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
You say you have 1 nurse in Cameron County?
Yes, ma'am. That is a nurse for the entire region. But that individual is housed here in Cameron County. And statewide, you look at 1 nurse per region, except for the major metropolitan areas, which is like the Houston, Dallas-Fort Worth area. They usually have 2.
So you have 3,305 children receiving in-home services, according to this in Cameron County.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have 1 nurse taking care of all of those children?
Yes, ma'am, we do. However, you need to keep in mind that we do contract services with other entities such as psychiatrists, psychologists, other agencies that may provide therapy, that may provide parenting classes, entities that provide drug and alcohol classes in our efforts to help out the family members.
And who pays for those services?
That goes through state tax dollars.
It's another one of those well-funded agencies by the state, that they don't give them barely enough, to survive.
Yes, sir. And one of the initiatives that we're taking next month, we're holding a managers meeting to address our volunteer services program. And what we're trying to do is go out into the community and get volunteers to help out our staff at the local offices in terms of doing probably clerical support, get them to assist with either observing family visits, do what we call collateral contacts, which is contacting references of the families that we investigate or work with. And in doing so, it benefits all because it helps our staff, and by that same token, these individuals also get to see what it's like to be a CPS employee or a caseworker, and many of them also determine or decide that they want to become CPS caseworkers. A lot of our volunteers that we get are from the public, but we also receive volunteers from the universities and colleges throughout the region. So what you have is a lot of college students that are saying they may want to pursue employment with our agency, after they have seen what the job is like, and that is a lot better than having an individual seek employment, get hired, and not really know what they're getting into. I'm not sure if you know, but we have a high turnover rate, and that affects how we perform effectively. So we are we're making efforts, and that's why I was saying that we hired a part-time person to cover the 4 counties down here, because we're making an effort to bring more of the community to partner with us in an effort to try to minimize the amount of abuse and neglect that occurs within our region. And it's only, like Ms. Benavides was saying, it's only through the collaboration and the efforts between our agency and community entities with the county commissioners that we are, law enforcement also, that we are able to be more effective in helping our families and children.
How many of those parents that are having issues with the children are substance abusers? Do you collect that data?
We probably have it. I don't have it with me, but I can tell you that substance abuse occurs, it's rampant throughout the families that we work with.
And the reason I say that is there's a push at the state level for more funding for substance abuse. So that might be an avenue in the future that y'all can look at, and the type of service you provide some of these families. Because the substance abuse typically is what kind of leads into a lot of this situation.
Yes, sir, it does, and we are certainly looking at that.
My name is Angel de la Garza, and for the substance abuse, in Cameron County, we have 2 substance abuse providers specifically. We have the Rio Grande Valley Council in Harlingen, and then the Rio Grande Valley Council in Brownsville, and then the Recovery Center of Cameron County in Harlingen. Those service providers not only provide services for our families, but provide services for adult probation and so forth. We can end up where families could potentially wait, or parents could potentially wait for services 4 weeks, 5 weeks. At the most, I've had somebody wait is 2 months for substance abuse services. We do have one contract provider that has been approved to provide substance services if the wait is too long for the recovery center because of those certain programs. And for Commissioner Benavides, the nurse is primarily used for children that we have that have medical needs, specific medical needs that we don't have custody of. The children that are in foster care, they have Medicaid and they have the STARS program, which provides nursing programs, nursing assistance. But the nurse here provides consultation to the workers in case they have questions, because obviously we're not doctors, the workers aren't doctors, so the nurse does go out in the field and visit these children, visits the families, and finds out, are there any community services that the family has. And the nurse is from Cameron County, so that gives him a better opportunity to develop, a social work with other nurses that are in the area. So that's kind of it. What I'm here to do is give you a snapshot of numbers in September 2012. And we talked about the fiscal year, but every year there are changes that happen. In 2012, in September of 2012, we did have 278 cases that were assigned for investigations. Most of the cases had multiple children, and there were a few cases that did have one. In September of 2012, there were 262 children that were in subcare in our county. But in Cameron County, we also had 219 children in foster care that were from another county, meaning either children were from Hidalgo, Willacy, or all over the state of Texas that were not necessarily the Cameron County had custody of. So in reality, when we talk about 200 to 300 children in foster care in Cameron County, you can add an additional 200 that Cameron County is serving to assist them. 71 of our children from here were placed out of Cameron County, and that could be for different reasons. Cameron County does not have, or actually the Valley area does not have a residential treatment center. Residential treatment center allows for children that have severe behavioral needs, special needs that cannot be really controlled in a foster home environment, a therapeutic, because they could cause more harm to other children. We also don't have an emergency shelter. The closest ones that we have are in Corpus and Laredo. Those are the two closest ones, which then becomes a big issue because we deal, since we are a border area, that we have undocumented children that cannot cross the border areas, obviously due to legal reasons. So we have opportunities where we are spending the night in the offices with children until we're able to find a placement or a relative that can take care of these children if we do take custody of the child. 92 of the children are in kinship care. Kinship care can be either a relative that has an aunt, uncle, grandmother. The majority of them are grandparents, but it also means fictive kin, relatives that basically family friends that have known the family for a while, that know the children, that can come in. What we try to do is, if we do take custody of the children, we start looking immediately to see if we can find relatives or fictive kin that can take care of the children. Because the last thing we want to do is keep a child in foster care, and if we're able to find a family member or fictive kin, if the parents can't really provide and get themselves situated within the year, which our legal system is, at least the relatives will allow for a more permanent environment for the children if the parents aren't able to get themselves situated within the timeframes of the legal. 311 cases were family-based. That's what I do. In Cameron County, we have a total of 5 supervisors. We have a total of 7 workers per supervisor. We just recently inherited one of those units, so one unit is still getting the training program. So on average right now, each family-based worker is carrying in between 20 to 25 cases. Some of them are what we consider moderate cases, where we have intense families where either they had a child death for whatever reason, if it was an accident or whatever, there were special circumstances, the child is primarily medically needy, or the child has been said by the doctors that he or she only has days to live, and so we're providing intense services to the family, going out there. Those moderate workers can go out there once or twice a week, and so the regular workers do go out at minimum of once a month, but we do see that we do go out a lot more often than once a month. In Cameron County in 2012, in September, we did have 54 children that were awaiting adoption, and so that's just because we didn't have an option of either relatives or the parents just didn't get themselves situated in time. All right.
Thank you. I want to thank you for all that you do, and Lynette, thank you for heading up the Child Welfare Board. It's been a challenge to get them where you are today with them, so I want to thank you for that. I just have a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 questions, maybe some commentary. Do you happen to have a comparison on the one on the orange one, where you passed out Cameron County statistics, and what you find is that almost 35% of the Cameron County's population is what's considered children. So we have a very young population. On what you're talking about on the cases, we have to keep in mind that that's just what's reported.
Absolutely.
And we have, I'm involved, in different things with child abuse and domestic violence, and it's like anything else that runs very stealth in our community. People do not report whether it's domestic violence or child abuse or those types of, those types of crimes. A lot of them go unreported, so this number could be significantly higher. And there's no doubt that you're understaffed. Understaffed and underpaid, we all know that. But I'd like to see if you could come up with I'd like to see how our population in terms of total population versus children, how it compares to other counties, either comparable to our size or not.
Oh, we can get that.
Okay, and then the amount of reported cases. What I'm trying to single out is see if we can somehow pinpoint that our county is somehow unique in the problems, so that we can help you ask for additional resources. I think where Commissioner Benavides was going was that how can one nurse provide services for 3,000 kids? That's what I think where she was going with it. But then I think you clarified a little bit, saying you have a lot of independent
There's other support systems.
providers, but one nurse is obviously not sufficient to be able to address all the concerns. So if I have that information, it helps me run it upstream to the agencies or the directors or the commissioners at the state level to see what it is that they can do as they're working on their, on their next budget. Maybe we can help you with that. But there was something else. No, that was it. That's all I had.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And that's something that we're working on. I mean, as the Child Welfare Board, we try to meet immediate needs for the children, whether it's for clothing, cribs, things that are going to allow them to be safe and stay in the home. And so, again, those are some of the other things that we do. Again, April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and there are several activities we do with that, as well as Foster Parent Appreciation Month, which is really important because those are the people who do care for our children. And so no big deal, but we do have a dinner and recognize them. November is Adoption and Foster Awareness Month again. We participate in additional events such as Blue Zoo Day, where we allow foster children and their families to please, come to the zoo with their caseworkers. It can be their case visit. These are little things that unite children with their siblings and that build relationships, not big life-changing things for us perhaps, but for someone else and for a family it is. And again, snack packs, ensuring that families do have food over holiday breaks. You never really know what's going to happen when children aren't in school, as well as like coat drives and things like that in our annual Christmas party, which most of you have participated in and even attended last year. So thank you, commissioners and judge, for that. The last thing I want to talk about is the magic wand. And I wish you could see it because it's the most adorable picture that I have. If we had a magic wand, what would we want and what would we need? The county, through state funding and matching funding and whatever formula it is that you use, provides two attorneys for CPS, clerks, a judge, different resources. And so we're thankful for that, and that's why we're here reporting what CPS is doing, how they're using the funding and so on, and what we do to assist them. But if we had a magic wand and a pretty little fairy like that, one of the things we would need is a parent liaison or family type of advocate. CPS caseworkers cannot provide all the resources to the families or the information or the guidance when they're dealing with their cases. Tip of Texas Family Outreach cannot be doing parenting classes for every single one of these families and providing wraparound resources. It's just not possible. Second monitors, CASA is a perfect example of second monitors. They are advocates for their child. There's 100 of them. There are hundreds more in the system. And that's why CASA children, I guess, are so successful. They have that second eye. I know that in the past, through different funding that the county was able to draw down or whatever, we did have second monitors. And that's something that we want to continue to look at, whether we have to partner with other local community organizations or CPS or the county. There has to be a way that collectively, we can work on collective impact and set aside our own agendas for the greater good and for the kids in our community. And lastly, a CPS family court. I know that it's called Child Protection Court of the RGV East or whatever it is. I know that there are not enough spaces for the people in this community and in the courtrooms. But this is a private issue for these children. And we have them in the central jury room. And on Tuesday and Wednesdays, it is crazy. They're running around, stuck under the tables. People can see there's absolutely no dignity in that for these children and for these families. And I know we have been complaining about this for years, but I just wanted to let you know that it's something that we will continue to fight for because it's important to these kids and to these families. With that, these are the Department of Family and Protective Services offices if you have to locate them or would need to speak with them. And to continue the conversation again, Lynette Benavides, and that's where you can reach me. I also work for United Way of Southern Cameron County, and so I'm available there as well. Last thing, we're going to hand out a toy. It's a Pinwheels for Prevention, and we've handed out several throughout the community, and you can put it in your yard or hand it to another child. They were donated, and we just want to make sure that people continue to be aware, because we want to make sure that colors like black and blue are only considered colors in a crayon box. And that's something that Blue Sunday says, and you have a flyer for Blue Sunday's National Day of Prayer on Sunday. She was Janet McGee who started it, used to be the Child Welfare Board president for many years, and now has over 2.5 million people throughout the country, ensuring that children who have been abused and neglected and those who rescue them, our CPS caseworkers, are prayed for and thought about this Sunday. So any support for that organization is also greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much. I know we took up way more time than we were supposed to.
No, but it's good information, and I also want to thank you for waiting for so long, but we're almost done. We saved the best for last. How's
We get
that?
to do it once a year, and so we know it's worth it to
And
share
don't
with you
tell
all.
Fernando Reese that you were here this long.
Next year, ask us to do this first so that everyone that was in here could also hear it.
We normally do, so I assume that he does normally call us up first, but I figured there was some pretty important stuff also on the agenda. But yes, the community does really need to know.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
very
much. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, do I hear a motion to go into executive session? By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides to discuss. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We are going into executive session to discuss 7 items as listed on the agenda pursuant to Code Sections 551.0712, 551.0711A and B, 551.0711A, and 551.087.